What's up, heathen? How are y'all doing tonight? Today is March 29th, and it's a special day. It's Palm Sunday, where they take the palm tree leaves and they fan Jesus as he walks in on, was it one or two asses? I feel like in some versions it's one, in some versions it's two. It could just all be fucking made up. Hey there, Forrest. How you doing?
I'm all right. I am just overwhelmed. I'm excited to be here. I'm studying for an endocrinology test tomorrow. And then I remember that I have this show, and so now I'm doing this show, and so I'm going to be right here taking calls from people who believe in magic, and then hopefully cranking down some information so I can go talk about science first thing in the morning. Quick, ask me what parts of the amygdala the primary and accessory olfactory bulbs project to.
Ditto. What?
I don't remember. That's why I got to study, and so I'm going to be doing that for the rest of the night. But yeah. It's nice to take a break and just talk to some people about some silly things.
Yeah, you know, I actually I have a similar endocrinology test tomorrow. Because I've got to go in for my regular diabetes checkup. So it's a different kind of test, and I'm just hoping I pass it. Otherwise, I'm dead.
Study all night.
Yeah, study all night. Well, this is the Sunday show After Dark, where we take your calls on various subjects, like the fact that God is evil, and it's actually been a while since I've done this Sunday show After Dark, so I'm a little rusty on hosting this motherfucker. But Forrest, what have you other than doing endocrinology tests and everything like that, because you're still academic and stuff, making us all feel academically lazy? Well, what are you up to?
Just working like crazy, dude. I'm trying to crank out videos like whoa. Seth, Erica, and I did a live show here in Tulsa a couple of weeks ago, and there's some work going on behind the scenes to make more things like that maybe happen soon. I'm about to go to Zimbabwe in a couple of months, and then Costa Rica a couple of months after that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different convention-y things that I've got on my calendar over here that I'm gearing up for. I'm just spread so thin and just so unbelievably wiped. And trying to get research done in the background is a lot. But happy. I wouldn't rather have it any other way. Very, very happy with what I'm doing. I'm just tired. God, I'm so tired. I need blood and sleep. It would be great. If I had those two things, we'd be in the business.
Yeah. And sorry, I might be clearing my throat a lot tonight. Everybody, I'm so sorry about that. I'll try to mute up most of the time. But tonight's topic is, God is evil. And, what better time to bring that up other than, Paul, the whole crucifying Jesus week. Today's Palm Sunday. Like I said, they take the palms off and they wave Jesus in the face. I'm thinking that it was probably just like Jesus was really hot and everybody could tell, so they're like, fan him, like,
Yeah.
And then I believe Wednesday is when they burn all that shit and then they rub the ashes on their forehead and they walk around like it's not kind of fucking weird. But and then of course we crucify the motherfucker on Friday. So that's this week.
Ash Wednesday. Okay, well that's just great. That's just great.
I'm right about that, right?
I can't type that. No, I don't know because I can't type it. We were having some tech issues before the show on my side. And apparently one of those tech issues is that right now, a few keys just don't work on my keyboard. S, H, C, V, the backspace. Those keys just don't exist anymore as of starting this show. So it's a great time over here at Valkai Labs. It's
Oh,
things are going great.
sorry. So yeah, that was actually in February. Ash Wednesday was in February. There's
See,
like events during Holy Week. Like what in the fuck? I'm
we're
such a
bad
bad
Catholics,
former
is what it
Christian.
is. Yeah, we're terrible at being Catholics. Hey, if you want to tell us how to be better Catholics, call in that number 720-619-2288 or use the web link in the description, because that's what this show is for. We're here to talk to people who believe in this stuff. If you believe that the God of the Bible exists and or is good, this is the show for you, because we certainly don't believe either of those things are true. Again, that number is 720-619-2288, or if you're outside of the U.S., you can use the web link in the description and call us that away. If you believe in Jesus or that we need Jesus in our lives, if you believe in the God of the Bible or that the Bible is the good book, if you believe in angels, demons, ghosts, spirits, Bigfoots, or other cryptids, if you don't believe in evolution or the age of the earth or the difference between sex and gender or vaccines or relativity, this is your show. Call in, give us a shout. Let's talk about religion, science, how to be good people, where atheists get their morality from, whether pineapple goes well on pizza. This is the debate show for you. Tune in, 720-619-2288. Or don't. I'm not a cop. What'd you find out
Yeah.
about Holy Week?
Well, yeah. So Ash Wednesday is the start of Lent, and I'm wanting to say yes. Okay, so I did get that just a little bit mixed up. Okay, so they don't use the fresh palms, but they use the palms from the previous year. So the palm branches that were blessed and distributed at the previous year's Palm Sunday celebration. So the previous year's Palm Sunday stuff is used to create the ash. I had it a little bit mixed up there. I'm a bad former Catholic, you know.
It's okay. I mean, flip, dude. We're like hopefully gonna have somebody who can give us the significance of these things, because like I would love to talk about why these rituals are so functional or
Hmm.
needed or whatever. Is it all just a remembering thing? Because like if that's fine, but then like what's the whole point of like the mass situation? There's a lot going on. I have questions about holy water specifically. I have questions about how and if it can be diluted, and what that can mean and what we can do with it at that point, and if you can put it in a super soaker. I have a lot of questions. So if you have answers, call in 720-619-2288.
Now, this Forrest, don't you remember that there was a viral image that went around right, at the COVID time frame where it had a priest who had a water gun and was gonna was gonna baptize a kid by shooting him with the water gun. I don't know, maybe that was
That's
just AI. I don't
awesome.
know. I've been taken for it.
You know what though? Like, I would respect that. I wouldn't respect the practice. I wouldn't respect the ritual. I wouldn't respect the religion, but the ingenuity and the willingness to do something irreverent while passing on reverence. I mean, I would be okay with that. I would think that was pretty dope. I'd be into it. I,
Oh man.
honestly,
Well,
I
go
just
ahead.
I wish that there was more of amazing first call coming in right there. But like I think that there is so much to be said. I've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks about like building community with religious folk and trying to make the world a better place, because our country is in serious desperate need of help right now, and we cannot as atheists fix it alone. But holy shit, that's the whole thing. I'm just thinking about what you just said, like finding like respect and humor in someone's actions while also vehemently disrespecting their underlying belief system. I think it's a super important and very American thing that we should be embracing right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, we do have our first caller. Forrest, you ready to tackle this one?
I unfortunately, because like it's always a bad time when John calls in, but like, hey, let's see what happens.
All right, John, who's a theist in Canada. What's up
Good
there,
evening,
John?
gentlemen.
Welcome to the line. You're on the line.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm trying to get that right.
Good evening. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing pretty good. How's the
Never had a
theisting
bad
going?
day.
Everything's good, and happy Palm Sunday.
I still
And
don't fully know what that means. We're learning as we go.
magical
Okay.
fan day to you too.
Mm-hmm. So what do you
When
want
you
to
say
talk
I
about,
didn't know,
John?
okay, I want to say how how Christianity has inspired good storytelling, and woke is destroying it. Woke is destroying good storytelling, and it's also destroying the film industry.
Can you tell me what woke means?
Yes, woke means favoring anyone who isn't a cis white male. Favoring anyone who isn't a cis white male over cis white males just for the sake of it. So it's giving them privilege just for the sake of it, because you cannot, God forbid, give any credit, give any credence to a white person. Because I know
John,
that you guys
should we
want to make sure that white people.
Hold on, John.
Diversity. Okay, yes,
am
go
I
ahead.
muted? John. Sorry, Forrest. Would you think of the white men out there? I can't believe nobody is thinking of the white men.
There's a lot there, John. It's immediately I have a problem with what you're saying, because that doesn't sound like anything that exists in the real world. But I am curious to know, like, it sounds like you have a major issue with, like, someone having intrinsic privilege by nature, by virtue of their birth, just because of, like, what kind of person they are, cisgender, white, transgender, black, whatever they may be, whatever these qualifiers are. You think there's an issue if these people have privilege because of that, right?
Forrest, I could not agree with you more. Privilege should not exist. But if
so then you agree with me. So then you would agree with me.
They should be hired. Yes.
So then you agree with me then that white privilege is a problem and male privilege is a problem, and we should be taking measures to dismantle that, right?
It was a problem on one point, but the problem is rectified. But the problem
you don't think that it's a
discrimination
problem
is now
now?
going in the opposite direction. The problem is now going in the opposite direction.
You don't think that white privilege or male privilege are issues right now?
I think that what's happening now is that instead of choosing the best man for the job, they're choosing the best non-white person. They're choosing diversity over talent.
So that's obviously and demonstrably untrue, but that's also not what I asked you. I asked, do you think that systemic racism, or just change the question up a little bit to be a little more clear, do you think that systemic racism is still an issue today?
Yes, by your people. That's the problem. You're discriminating more specifically against white.
So
what's your
so you think there's racism against white people? Can you please define can you define systemic racism? Can you tell me what you think that means?
Racism is when you treat anyone differently based on their skin color. When you treat anyone differently.
I said systemic racism.
Well, that is what racism is. Treating someone differently.
I said systemic racism.
What do you mean by systemic? Racism means treating someone differently.
So racism is, undue prejudice for people based on races, believing that races are, differently qualified, differently able, different intelligence, whatever the case may be, thinking that there are major noticeable differences between races and judging people prematurely because of it. I can vibe with that. I'm asking about systemic racism, which would be structured, institutionalized racism that takes place in law and policy and in infrastructure, a community, a society, a country being built with racism in their practice, in their day-to-day life. That's what I'm talking about. Do you think that is an issue, and do you think that white people are suffering from it?
I think that the United States was founded to be equal, but white people are now being systemically racist against.
You think
I'm so sorry.
The United States was founded to be equal when we were
it
built
says right there
by
in the Constitution. All men are created equal. It says right there.
It does. It does. But also, John, remember, we then had to introduce amendments to that Constitution to make sure the all men part also included women and people of color. So you're talking about a country, when you say it was founded on the enslavement of one group of people and the genocide of another group of people. And you're saying that's equality?
Well, I want you to answer. Hold on, John. I need to correct something real quick. John, I need to correct something. Hold on, John. I need to correct something real quick. I want you to answer Forrest, but just so that everybody knows, that's not actually in the Constitution. That is the Declaration of Independence. The Constitution was specifically crafted to carve out women and people of color. So try again, John. But answer Forrest thing.
Okay. No one is denying that there has been a history of slavery and racism in the United States. I'm not denying that at all. But you're also the only country, the only civilized country, where you fought a civil war for it. There was a civil rights movement. You had that thing at Selma, and you made tremendous progress. You even had Barack Obama as your president. You cannot say that systematic oppression is coming towards black people when you have that. I can't think of any other country.
Yes,
where
you very
can
easily can.
Billionaires.
Yeah, no, you very easily can. And if you knew anything about life in America, you would be able to see it quite easily. Here's a great example of
I
that,
live in
John.
Canada, gentlemen. I'm your next door neighbor. I am your next door neighbor.
So that would make sense as to why you don't know anything about what it's actually like to live here, since you're just looking at us over the border. But just so you know, John, like just as an example here, you talk about how we fought a civil war and all those things that happened over 100 years ago. We also had the civil rights movement, which happened in the middle of the 1900s. There are people alive today who remember a time in their own lifetime when they were not allowed to ride in a certain part of a bus, eat in a certain part of a restaurant, use a certain bathroom, a certain drinking fountain, attend a certain school. Ruby Bridges, the first black child who was allowed to go to a white school, is still alive today and is still a civil rights activist today. So the history of this is still very new. And while, yes, we did have a black president, we also still have massive disparity in opportunity, in education, in law enforcement, in incarceration, in brutality, in addiction, in mortality, in maternal mortality, infant mortality, in mental health outcomes, physical health outcomes, just about every fucking possible metric. There is still massive disparity in this country between white people and people of color. And that is because communities of color were broken up on purpose and forced out to the edges of society on purpose. Here in my hometown of Tulsa, we had a place called Black Wall Street, one of the most prosperous African-American communities still to date in the history of this country. Then the government literally dropped bombs out of airplanes to destroy that community because a white mob wanted to lynch a black kid, and the sheriff didn't want to let them. And so they rounded up all the black men in that community, in my town, and put them onto the football field of the University of Tulsa, which used to be a Native American boarding school, which perpetuated the genocide against Native American people, and then dropped fucking firebombs to level that neighborhood. And to this day, most of Tulsa is pretty average racial distribution as you would the rest of the country. The north side of Tulsa, north of Greenwood, 99% African-American, because that's where we shoved those people a little over 100 years ago, and their descendants still live there. Now, as a matter of fact, we also base our education system, our public schools, on property taxes. The way we fund our public schools in this country is through property tax, which means if you live in a low-income neighborhood with low property values like North Tulsa, you have less taxes funding your schools. And those schools are underfunded. They're going to underperform. They don't have enough teachers. They don't have enough resources, which means you don't get a proper education, which means it's really hard to get into university and get a good job. While they are underfunded in those communities, they are also over-policed, which means you have a big problem with people being shot and killed, usually unarmed, nonviolent offenders, which is also a major problem that we have in this country. So you have people who are still experiencing the effects of that systemic racism, and we still have systemic racism as well. And then you are looking at them and judging them for the situation that they're in as if they are responsible for it, and that's fucking silly.
Okay, I told Forrest, anything you just said, I totally agree with you. I agree with you completely, 100%. All that anything you're talking about was done by the Democrats.
Now tell me where America is doing that to white people, John. Now tell me where America is doing that to black. No, the whole point here, John, Tell me where America is doing those sorts of things to white people.
Okay. Here's an example. If a black man and a white man go for a job, both equally qualified, or better yet, if the white man is more qualified, they're going to choose the black man over the white man simply because they want diversity.
That is not.
That's not
that
true.
is not accurate.
That's not true,
I
and
know
there are literal studies. There are actual studies about that where researchers have sent out applications to various jobs, the exact same application with the exact same information on it, except one was for written on the top. It said the name was David, and the other one, the name on top was DeAndre. And like well more than 50% of the time, like I think it's upward of 70. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I can look it up and double check. But almost always, David gets the job over DeAndre in this country. So no, that is simply not true. What you are talking about is a weird mockery of what we call DEI, diversity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which right-wingers in this country are now framing as that we have unqualified people of color and women being put into positions that they're not trained for because we just have to meet these diversity quotas, and that's not fucking true. What usually happens is, for example, there was the whole thing about airline pilots. That was a big talking point for a little while.
I totally agree with that, by the way.
You'll have an airline company. You'll have an airline company saying something like, "We are going to make sure we have the same amount of black people, white people, women, everything in our training programs." And then racists will take that and say, they're forcing us to have the same this diversity in actual pilots. And that's simply not the case. And then they try to judge pilots and say, you're black, you must be unqualified, and you just got put here as a DEI hire. That's not happening. That's never fucking happening. That is just propaganda.
Right. And just to add on to this real quick there, John, for first of all, the DEI programs were initiated because there was a disparity in, college acceptances, job hirings and all that. Like everywhere you find the DEI policies, you see a major disparity in how people are treated, swaying more in favor of older white men, right? The cishet white men out there. And, that's obviously due to the proclivity of the American society, being very patriarchal in nature. So, I mean, those were done in response to the fact that there was a disparity, hoping to even it out so that people have equal opportunities, right? The equal ability. And then I'm going to let Forrest finish up here or come back in here in a second. But I was going to say that what you're doing is you're brandishing outliers as representative of the whole, which is typically called like a composite fallacy. You're essentially taking a small set from a much larger set and then applying whatever conclusion that you found with the smaller set to the larger set, which is fallacious because the outliers do not actually categorize or describe the larger set of, America in general. Forrest, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I found one of those because the study I reference has been done a million times. This is just the first one that came up. I'm having to use my phone because my fucking keyboard isn't working. But this is from the American Economic Association. The title of the publication here is "Are Emily and Greg More Employable Than Lakeisha and Jamal? A Field Experiment on Labor Market Discrimination." They found that white names on applications got 50% more callbacks and interviews than black names on applications. So what you're saying is patently untrue, John.
Okay, all right, gentlemen. Do you agree with me that if two people apply for a job, it should be the best man for the job, and skin color, ethnicity, and nothing else should matter? Do you agree with me on that?
I change it for the best person, but that's because I'm woke.
Yeah,
no,
stupid.
It's fine.
Empathy things.
It should be the best person, the best human being. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, I'm in favor of that too. What I am saying is that no one should get a preference.
Let me alter this a little bit here. Let me alter this a little bit here because you're actually portraying this in a straw man fashion. I don't think that you're meaning to here. I want to be charitable towards you because the situation that DEI hopes to rectify isn't that there's an unqualified black man versus a qualified white man. right? And they choose the black man, that would be a straw man representation of this. What we're talking about in actuality are two different people with the exact same qualifications. They are exactly the same applicable for whatever position. How do you make the determination between two exactly the same candidates on paper? Like, how do you make that determination?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you, without DEI and doing what you're suggesting here, of being anti-woke, who would you choose, and what criteria would you use to choose between two people of the exact same quality?
If it's two people of the exact same quality, so if I'm going to get the exact same quality of work from both parties, if it's my business and I'm running it, I should choose whoever I want. It's my business.
Right. Okay.
As long as I get the work.
Great. I'm glad that you can identify that, but now you have to take into account that in these businesses, in government and everything like that, they have trended, and this is historically, like, you can look up the historical data on this, that trends towards the cishet white men category, right? Even over white women, right? Like, one of the biggest benefactors of DEI has been white women. So, like, you're by the thing that you came on here to complain and bitch about is essentially that white men aren't being chosen at a higher rate than others, is what you're essentially complaining about.
I don't care about white men having a rate. I just want the best person for the job. That's what I want. The best.
Yeah, but that's not the decision being made. I just laid that out. Anyway, I don't know. Any thoughts there, Forrest?
I was about to write out. My computer is getting worse and worse. I was about to just do a quick restart. I'll be right back. But yeah, no, John, what you are talking about here predominantly is protecting white women more than anything else. That's a very important thing. And also, it wouldn't need to be in place if this country weren't so goddamn racist to begin with. So you're arguing about what you were arguing about here is not actually oppression against white people. What you were upset about is the force equality. We are having to force equality, and when you're in a position of privilege, equality feels like oppression. Literally, all we're doing is just saying.
This idea of privilege is ridiculous. Ask any white person who's ever lost a child.
It's very easily not.
If they were privileged at that moment, ask any white person who's ever lost a child if they felt privileged at that exact second.
Privilege does not mean that your life is just magically easy. It means that it is not made harder by your skin color. So, like, take, for example, having a child, right? Having a baby. Why is maternal mortality rate so much higher in this country for black mothers than it is for white mothers? Do you think there's something inherently biologically different
that makes hire black people, fool? That's the reason.
You think that Democrats don't?
Yes, it is the Democrats.
Democrats don't hire black people, and that means that black mothers die in childbirth more.
Exactly, and plus, black people don't get good education, like you said earlier, and they don't get good education. They don't go to
university. Why?
John, no, that's the stupidest fucking. John, how educated does a person have to be in order to not die during childbirth?
If someone doesn't have a good education, they don't get a good job. If they don't get a good job, they can't afford good hospital care.
So first of all, that is insane and disgusting. Second of all, that's not actually what's fucking happening. No, the fact that you are this upset, the fact that you are this up capitalism's ass to say that people need to get good jobs so they can afford to have a fucking doctor is ridiculous, but that's a different conversation entirely. The more important, especially as a Canadian saying that, Jesus fucking Christ. But more importantly, no,
don't take the Lord's name in vain on Palm Sunday.
The issue is that black people have worse health outcomes overall in this country, including when they go to like an emergency room where they're not checking insurance at that moment. It's life-saving medical care. Like, you cannot deny someone that. So, like, no, that's just not how anything fucking works. And the issue that I'm trying to refer to here is that we demonize black people and pretend like they have a different pain tolerance. It's actually a very recent discovery in medical science that black people and white people don't need different kinds of drugs and shit. This is like old, outdated racist talking points. And people assume that black people want drugs, and people assume that black people want painkillers, and people assume that black people women are hysterical, and black women are angry, and all these other ridiculous fucking stereotypes that causes doctors to take them less seriously, and so they have worse health outcomes. This is fucking well documented and studied. It's not just whatever Turning Point USA talking points somehow made it across the border to Canada. I'm going to quickly restart. I'll be right back.
So, John,
look,
I'm John.
By your own admission, you say that healthcare in your country is so expensive. But if people had good education, got good jobs, and earn salaries, they would be able to afford it. And the people who don't
benefit
from that are black people because they don't get the good education.
And that's wrong.
The solution you're describing of socialism will not work.
You're coming, John. Right, you're coming, John.
Yes,
you're coming across as saying, no, I know you are. You're coming across as saying that poor people deserve to die. Is that what you mean?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Did I ever say that? I never once said that.
I'm saying that you're coming across that way. No. I'm saying that you're coming across that way, John, because the argument that you're making is that black people are worse educated and therefore cannot get into quote unquote good hospitals so that they can't die in childbirth. When my first question when you first said that was, why do you think that black people are worse educated or have worse educational outcomes?
Because you're not teaching them the right things.
No. I was wanting to focus there. Like, I'm starting off there. Where do you why do you think that black people, in your particular view of America, why do you think that black people have worse education outcomes?
Because instead of teaching them the proper things like how to read, how to write, the history of the country.
That's not answering my question. But the correct answer to my question, the correct answer to my question. The correct answer to my question is that white politicians have basically sequestered poor black neighborhoods into single areas where they can't actually fund the schools because the property taxes are what funds the schools primarily. And when you sequester your poor black people into certain sections of the city, then they're going to end up with poor education outcomes. So essentially, the argument that you're making here, John, is that white politicians have sequestered black people into specific blocks so that they can get worse education outcomes so that they can kill them faster through childbirth and through poorer health access. Is that the argument that you want to make for your very white-centered side here?
First of all, I want to say that I am black, and second of all, there's only so much. There's only so much things you can blame other people or the white man for. Sooner or later, you have to take responsibility for your own life. You can't keep blaming this person.
No. Did you hear what I said? They sequestered the poor. They sequestered poor black neighborhoods so that they would be all in one spot, so that the better neighborhoods would be for the white people, right? And then the black neighborhoods, they would have poorer education outcomes.
Maintenant, ok? Laisse ça devant ok? Mets de ta chambre. Hello?
Hello. Yes. Sorry. Are you? I don't know who you were yelling at. Everything okay on your end?
Yeah, they're okay. Okay. All right, John. Tell me, what is your solution to this problem? Because we both agree it's a problem, right?
Well, yes, we both agree it's a problem, and I think that we need to tax the rich people in America, the upper class. We need to tax them appropriately so that we can more appropriately fund schools everywhere instead of having them being tied to property taxes.
Okay, John, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with your idea. What you're proposing.
Oh, please tell me what's wrong. No, John, please tell me what's wrong with appropriately taxing billionaires. Can I tell you something, John? Do you know what happens? Do you know what happens?
They will leave the country.
They won't.
I guarantee you,
no, they won't. No, they won't.
Yes,
No, they won't.
It's happening
Now,
right now in
listen,
New York.
let me ask you something, John.
It is happening
No, John,
in
shut
New
the
York.
fuck up. I am just going to fucking mute you right now, okay? Listen, all right? So if we tax the billionaires appropriately, and we're not talking about taxing them flat rate 99%, we're talking about taxing them like 99% or whatever after they have attained like multiple millions of dollars, right? If I were to take away like 99% of the wealth generated by like Jeff Bezos after he's already made like $100 million, you know what? He can still go out and eat. He can still go out and do his support yacht shit and everything like that. While at the same time, you have white politicians in America that are refactoring the rules for free lunch at schools so that fewer kids will get free lunches because their parents they're not poor enough for that, right? Instead they would rather take food out of small children's mouths just so that they can give billionaires more fucking money. So please come back with how all the billionaires are going to leave. If all the billionaires are going to leave because they start paying their fair share in fucking taxes, then get the fuck out.
To possibly say that is the dumbest thing you could possibly say.
Were you talking the entire fucking time, John? John, were you talking the entire fucking time?
No, I wasn't. But I'm telling you this right now. If what you do is happening is wrong, they will leave and they'll take their jobs with them. And the poor people
Good. Get the fuck out.
About will lose their jobs.
Good.
No,
get the fuck
they'll
out.
Lose their jobs. The poor. You don't
get the
understand.
fuck
the
out.
Poor people who
no,
work
yeah, get the fuck out. That's what I'm telling you right now. If your business is so tied to your personal wealth that you can't make the $1 trillion a year or the multiple hundreds of billion dollars a year, if that's the problem there and they want to leave for that, then get the fuck out. We don't need you.
You're talking about suicide. What about the people who work for these rich people? They'll lose their jobs. Do you think about them? Did you think about them? They will lose their jobs.
Do you think if the billionaires leave, all the jobs are just gonna evaporate? Do you really think that fucking McDonald's is still not gonna be on every corner? Do you think Starbucks is really just gonna up and leave America? They have fucking McDonald's over there in goddamn Russia, you dipshit.
In New York. Ask people in New York. It is happening right now in New York.
Please show me. Show me. If I type this into my fact checker, right now, is it going to come back as being true, or are you just going to be bullshitting me right now so that you could stand for billionaires as a Canadian?
What bothers me the most? I'm back, by the way. Surprise.
Hey, Forrest.
Think about that. Think about the poor people.
Oh my God, the poor people that are being exploited. John, if you actually gave a shit about the people who are being employed, if you actually gave a shit about the workers, I'm just tuning into this and I came back at the stupidest fucking time. If you actually cared about the workers, you would want those workers to be able to afford food and rent and medicine and childcare and all the other things that you cannot afford in this country on a minimum wage job. There is not a single place in this country where you can work 40 hours a week. There is not a single place in this country where you can work 40 hours a week and be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment.
That's not how it works at all. At all.
Tell me, John. Tell me more about how there are certain jobs that people just need to be in poverty for.
First of all, you need a job to get money to pay for your stuff. That's how it works. You work for someone to get money. That's how it works. I don't know who taught you economics. That's basic economics. If a business
Nobody
leaves,
said that isn't the case.
You lose your money.
We're saying that we're saying, John, we're saying that there is not a minimum wage job in this country. Minimum wage in this country is so low and people are being paid so little that you have companies like McDonald's that John just talked about a second ago and Walmart that literally have in their intro training packet for new hires how to sign up for government assistance because they know they're not going to pay these people enough to live. There isn't a single state in this country where you can afford an average one-bedroom apartment on 40 hours a week at minimum wage because it is too low. We have people who are rationing their insulin and other prescription medications because they can't afford them, and they are dying because they have to make a choice every month between keeping a roof over their head, keeping food in their stomachs, or getting fucking medicine. Heaven forbid they have children. They are not paid well in this country. If you actually cared about workers, and if you actually cared about people, you would want them being treated like human beings and not fucking drones.
But everything you just said doesn't make sense. The rich that you hate so much will not tolerate that. They will going to leave. They'll take their jobs with them, and it's happening right now in New York.
No,
Ask
they
the people in New
fucking
York how they're
won't.
suffering.
First of all,
It's happening
no,
right
they
now in
won't.
New York,
And also,
they're leaving.
that is literally, John, that is literally the exact same propaganda as when we established the minimum wage in the first place, and when we laid down the 40-hour work week, and when we laid down mandatory paid breaks, and lunch breaks, and vacation time, and every other bit, every scrap of workers' rights that we have earned in this country has come through blood, because workers were fucking shot dead in the streets for wanting these basic rights in this country, and also by that kind of bullshit of people saying, well, these billionaires are just going to leave. As I came in with John saying, let them fucking go. Because number one, they won't do it. This country is still a place where they want to be.
To leave. You don't
and also,
want those billionaires to leave.
if they do leave, you know what we're going to do here, John?
The very equipment that you're using was built by billionaires, you fool. The very equipment that you're using.
If they leave, you know what we're going to do here? We're going to pay workers with other means. We're going to continue. If they take their economy and leave, then we will make a better society here for ourselves. We can live without billionaires. You are literally running apologetics for people that have not earned their money, to say that all of us on the bottom need to earn the right to live in the civilization that we were born into, while these rich billionaire assholes have never fucking worked for anything that they have. It's ridiculous.
So I just want to bring in some facts here, because I did mute you there, John, because you won't just stop talking while we're talking. And this is our show. So what actually is happening in New York is a bit of a different story than what you're talking about there, John. First of all, luxury real estate has actually surged and not collapsed in New York. The most recent data has confirmed that pattern has held. Real estate leaders dismissed the Exodus narrative. Commercial real estate also held firm. So, like, and there's multiple people that are actively studying, like, the migration of millionaires and everything like that. So, like, the story that you're telling right here are all the predicted statements that were said by billionaires that were going to be taxed. And just to put it into perspective here of what Mamdani, which he hasn't actually enacted this yet, but this is just what he's going to do. He's going to add a 2% point income tax surcharge on earnings above $1 million. Let me tell you something. If you raise taxes on a low to middle class worker, 2% or so, that means that they have to go without food sometimes, or that means that they have to choose between bills or whatnot. If you're raising taxes on earnings above $1 million, you're not fucking hurting for food. You're not having to choose between your light bill or buying gas. You're not having to choose between any of that. You have that $1 million that's normally taxed just like everybody else, right? You just have a little bit more tax to pay after 1 million. So, John, I don't want to hear this fucking bullshit, this crying for billionaires and white men. Like, it's just sad, and you need to stop.
I have a question for John whenever he responds to you as well.
Go ahead, John.
First of all, I don't care about the billionaires. I care about the average guy. And if the United States is such a terrible country, how come people are killing themselves to get to your country as opposed to the other way around? Don't you think that would make more sense if that was the case?
I don't see how this is relevant. This is a non sequitur.
Yeah, we have a good standard of living here compared to a lot of places in the world, and we have better safety here compared to a lot of places in the world.
Thanks to capitalism.
No, it is
Which
not
you
thanks to
benefit from.
capitalism. It is thanks to socialist policies, but that's not the
Oh
point. As
my
John said,
God.
that's a complete non sequitur. And also, I
Oh
just want
my
to know,
God.
you're talking about these fucking billionaires.
Oh
I mentioned
my
earlier
God.
that these people didn't fucking earn the money that they have. John, do you know how much a billion is?
Fuck no, because I'll never have that much money.
I
And
was
even if I
talking to the
did,
other
Okay,
John, but I'm
Oh,
glad that
fuck.
you agree. Yeah, sorry.
This isn't you caring about the white man. This is about you not wishing that you weren't billionaires yourself. I guarantee you,
I
if you
would
could have
no,
money, you would
no,
take it.
John.
You would
John,
take
I
it.
would never,
You would
I would
take it.
never, I would never want to be a billionaire. And I am on record as a public figure who has fucking millions of people watching him. I will be held accountable for this if I ever. I have said multiple times, I would never, ever, ever want to be a billionaire. There is no such thing as a good person who is a billionaire. Not. 0% of billionaires are good people. My question to you, John, let's say you have a really, really, really good job. It's the best job anyone has ever heard of. You get paid $200,000 a year. Really, really fucking good income. And it's the best job ever because that is tax-free. Your boss pays all your taxes for you, and you get paid $200,000. And your boss covers your housing, your rent, and all your food, and your gas, and your phone, and your electric, and all your other bills, everything you ever want. Everything you ever want to go do, everything you need in your life, everything is covered for you. You get $200,000 a year with no expenses and no taxes, and it goes into a bank account, and it just sits there. How many years do you have to work at this amazing, miraculous, unrealistic dream job before you become a billionaire?
I'll want that job for the rest of my life.
How long until you become a billionaire, John?
Look, Forrest, what you're describing is socialism, which has never, ever, ever worked. I'm saying that
Answer
right
the
now.
question, John. Answer the question, John. How long until you become a billionaire?
Will never work because
John, answer the question, you sniveling coward. How long until you become a billionaire? How long until you become a billionaire?
I'm going to say forever. There. That's my answer.
5,000 years, John. You need to work at that job for 5,000 years. If you, my point is, you're sitting here kiss-assing to people who have more money than you could ever fucking dream of. Elon Musk has $809.9 billion. If you got $200,000 a year tax-free, you would need to wait 4,049,500 years to get that level of wealth. And you're sitting here talking about how you care about average common people who are making $7.25 a fucking hour, slaving away at backbreaking jobs that destroy their bodies when they cannot get a doctor to help them if they get sick. They can't afford to go to a fucking doctor. In this country, the strategy that the government has if you get sick is that you just fucking die.
Who do you think employs those people? Who do you think employs
fucking
those people?
Scumbags, dude! Fucking pigs!
And you need those scumbags for your own
No, you don't!
No,
you do not, John, because in a time in this country where we had the world's best economy, and when we had the world's best science, and when we had the world's best arts, and when we had all those things, we also had a way higher tax rate, and there weren't people like that. We allowed that shit to happen because capitalists took control of the machine. Every good thing that we have in this country, public health care when it is available, public education, public roads, public schools, public bridges, public municipal water supply, everything that makes that standard of living so high that people want to come here is all from socialist policies. That is taxation, not from billionaires building it. Elon Musk didn't fucking go fix all the water pipes in Flint. Elon Musk hasn't fucking solved world hunger, despite saying that he would do it if somebody told him how, and lots of people told him how. These billionaires are fucking dragons that hoard piles of gold. They invest the money that they have into stocks. They can't be taxed on those stocks because the stocks don't technically exist, but they can take out loans using the stocks as collateral, which means they get more money, and they build and they grow and they build and they grow and they take and they take and they take, and there's less and less for you.
That's how it works.
No, I'm sorry. I need to say something real quick because I want to appropriately frame what John is actually standing for here. It's not because let's just assume the major corporations, the major like restaurants and everything like that, all of their billionaires are currently located in, let's say, Texas, right? Just for shits and giggles. Let's say that. All right. So essentially they're hoarding money in Texas. They're letting their money sit there in Texas, right? They're not doing shit with it. They're not benefiting their employees or anything like that. Let's say we start taxing them on that, right? Appropriately. And they're like, well, fuck this. I want to leave. So they just pick up their pile of cash and they just move it to another country, and the cash is no longer just sitting in America not doing shit for anybody. Do you think that they're going to shut down their businesses in America? Do you understand the amount of market that they would just leave open to not make money at? Because I can guarantee you this, even if we do appropriately tax them and they lose a good bit of money, they are still going to be like, well, we are still making money. Even if we're losing some of that money, we're still making money. And if they pull out completely, like they pull their business out of America completely or whatnot, then other people will fill in that need, because that need is still going to exist. There are going to be entrepreneurs that start up new businesses and then they will appropriately pay people, because they know that if they will be taxed appropriately unless they are going to be reinvesting into their worker base, right? So there's only something positive that can happen. And that's billionaires picking up their piles of fucking cash like their goddamn Heisenberg, moving it somewhere else to just sit there and not do anything, while their businesses still operate in America. Your entire position is predicated on them shutting down their operations in America. That's not going to happen. Presenting it as if it is disingenuous and is just a total straw man. We've been on the call for 40 minutes and we do have other callers lined up. So
I also want to throw out I'm just looking up this right now, and fucking like McDonald's was one example that we gave a couple of times. McDonald's in France, typical wage is $10.70 an hour. Big Mac's still $4. McDonald's in Australia, $13.40 an hour. Big Mac is $3.90. So it's actually cheaper for a fucking Big Mac there when they're paying more. Like, there's plenty of other countries where the same fucking billionaires are paying people appropriately because they're subject to labor laws. And yet they're still keeping prices low because that's how their business runs. And also because they have horrible environmental practices to keep their prices low, whatever. But like, the whole point is, they know what's going to sell. And what's going to sell is cheap, fast food. They're making money hand over dick in these fucking companies, and they're making so much more than their workers are paying. The average, I forgot the numbers off the top of my head. I can look them up and double check to make sure. But like, I am just making clear this is a bit of a hyperbole here to just exaggerate the point. You can look up the disparity between like entry-level worker and CEO pay from like the 1970s, and it was like 10 times as much, and now it's like 10,000 times as much. The disparity is fucking absurd. These people are making so much fucking money, and they are squeezing it out of the poorest, most vulnerable people in our society. And what sucks about that so much, it's fucking John's dumbass talking point about, like, oh, well, people just had a better job. They could just go to a doctor. Fucking. The problem is, those people then, because medicine costs money in this country, if one of those CEOs gets a stomach bug, they go to the doctor. If they wake up, their tummy feels weird, they go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh shit, there's this weird thing wrong with you. We can knock that out, no problem. A poor person working for these companies wakes up, their tummy feels weird. They can't do anything about it. So they continue on, and their stomach gets worse, and they continue on, and their stomach gets worse, and they continue on, and their stomach gets worse until it's unbearable, and they go to the emergency room. Costs $2,000 to ride an ambulance to an emergency room in this country. And then when you get there, you find out you have fucking stomach cancer that's been growing for fucking 2 years. That's what happens in this country. People like to talk about, oh, this healthcare costs money, and who's going to pay for it? Rich, coming from somebody in fucking Canada who has way better socialized medicine. But here in America, yeah, the medicine costs money. Not having that medicine provided costs fucking human lives all the time. We have people in this country who oh my glob, dude. You have to pay money to touch your own fucking baby after you give birth in this country. It costs thousands of dollars to get to a hospital, to stay at a hospital, to get saved, to be treated. The number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is medical debt. The number one reason people start Kickstarters and GoFundMe accounts and things in this country is for medical debt. People die here every day because they can't afford food, and they can't afford insulin, and they can't afford a fucking house. And John is sitting here saying, well, yeah, but the people up here at the top who make more money than anybody could ever reasonably make in a million lifetimes, that person, that's who you should look up to, and they're the one who's making this place so great. This country isn't fucking great, John. This country is a nightmare. It's hell. And we have to fight like shit just to get the basic fucking human dignity to survive. Because we live in a country where if you aren't rich as shit, the government's position is die. They don't fucking care. And that's assuming you make it out of fucking 5th grade without getting gunned down in your classroom. It is so fucking frustrating to have somebody in Canada who has no fucking idea what it's like here, saying, oh, I'm your next door neighbor, I know what's up, and then fucking simp for the capitalist pigs that make this country the nightmare fucking place that it is. Absolutely disgusting, John. If you knew half of what you were talking about, you would be fucking ashamed of yourself for the disgusting fucking rhetoric you've used in this call, not to mention the dumb shit about race. Fuck you, dude. Ugh.
You want me to let him back on?
It's
so
up
that
to
he can
you.
say his piece.
This fucking call has been so stupid. I'm fine with letting him back on, but all he's gonna say is, you guys don't know how economics works, and this is that. What you're describing is blah 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 blah, and you don't know. Oh, he hung up anyway. He doesn't know shit. Dude doesn't know anything about American fucking culture and is gonna sit here and simp for capitalism when every good thing we have is a socialist policy. And every bit of the labor rights that we have came through fucking blood in this country. Workers were murdered for wanting equal fucking basic human rights, wanting a 40-hour work week, wanting minimum wage. People died for those rights in this country. We don't get to talk about that, though, because that's socialism. And, the socialism is when the government does things that aren't war. John, I would love John to just fucking tell me what the fuck he thinks socialism is. Dude doesn't know anything about anything. He's going to call up here from fucking Canada and tell me how labor works. Eat my entire ass.
All right. So we do have a lot of great shows that are coming up this week. So tomorrow night on Skeptalk, we've got Aaron Ra and Aaron Adair. I was going in the reverse order there. On
Aaron
Skeptalk,
Ra and Aaron Adair. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then Tuesday, we've got Chewed Gum with Alyssa and Taylor. And then we've got The Hang Up on Wednesday and TACIS on Thursday. And then, of course, the regular shows on Sunday, the two of those. We've also got the Calling It Now shows over on Jimmy Snow and the Line. And we just got a lot of great shit going on this week. So do tune in for all of that. Now, Forrest, or do you have an eye on which one you'd like to take next?
I mean, we have a theist caller. We have a couple of atheist callers who you're going to be waiting for a long time, y'all. But we have one theist caller on the line right now who wants to talk about abortion, and that's always fun, considering the fact that we're two dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm down for that one.
All right, let's go. Let's talk to Bob. Let's get him up here.
Hello.
There we go.
Bob. Hello.
Hey, Bob. How you doing, Bob?
I haven't. I don't know if you consider it a hot take, but I think trans men and trans women and women should be the only ones who have an opinion about abortion. I know that's really weird, but that's my opinion on the matter. That's just kind of the way I've always thought about it.
Are you a trans man or a trans woman or a woman?
No, I'm just a regular old they them.
Okay, so you have decided that no one who isn't in those categories, including yourself, should have an opinion on this matter.
No, it's just something that ever since the overturning of Roe versus Wade, it's just a bunch of old fogies, except for some justices that were in the right saying, hey, look, what these guys did something wrong and they shouldn't have overturned it. It just kind of made my blood boil. And
Right, but that's not new.
They shouldn't have had an opinion. They should have just kept their mouth shut. You know what I mean?
That's not new. That's how it's literally always been in this country.
So it just kind of made my blood boil.
Okay.
They should have just kept their mouth shut.
The fact of the matter is, like, whether or not you can have a medical procedure doesn't mean you don't get to have an opinion, don't get to have an opinion on that medical procedure. You can say you don't have an opinion on whether one specific person has an abortion, but, like, we're all supposed to be talking about this. That's the whole point of, like, pluralism and democracy and shit.
I understand. What can I do? I'm just, I've always been celibate, I just kind of.
Good for you. What does that have to do with anything?
No, I just, you know what I mean? I'm just a little guy, just a little, they, them, just kind of, how one of my favorite creators on the internet says, just a little guy,
So you're saying that your experience as a single individual person shouldn't outweigh the opinion of people with uteruses? And I agree, your individual opinion doesn't. But if you have morals, then you should be able to universally apply those morals to diverse and eclectic situations and have stances. I agree that it's bullshit that non-medically trained cisgender men are the ones primarily driving these decisions, because those politicians are bought and paid for by lobbyists and are also usually devoutly religious and have no idea what they're talking about. But, like, you don't need medical training to be able to apply principles of bodily autonomy to people with uteruses and explain why abortion rights are good for them. And you don't need a medical degree to understand that actual doctors do know what's going on here, and this care isn't just, I don't want to be pregnant anymore. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. Abortion is healthcare, and everyone should have healthcare.
Yeah. No, I understand
those are
that.
positions that you're allowed to have.
I just think the one, I think it's their right to choose. Not, I shouldn't have a say in it. I just,
Okay, so then you're pro-choice.
Does that make any sense?
So then you're pro-choice.
Okay.
And that's your position.
I just never understood that. Nobody ever explained it to me. I've just kind of always been alone.
I don't think anyone's explained it to you now. You're just, you have an opinion on this. You think that people should be able to choose whether or not they need an abortion and they get one. That's called being pro-choice.
Okay. Well, I guess I've wasted everyone's time.
That's okay. Hope you do well.
You take care of yourself, both of you.
We will.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
What was that?
I don't know. I didn't really have much to say on that one. I'm glad you were able to take it there, Forrest.
I didn't mean to cut you out of it. I was like 89% sure it was going to be a troll call, and now I don't know.
Because I mean, on the one hand, I do think that the cis white men have had too much input on this, but I mean, I think that the too much input on this has been because they regularly just forego actual medical knowledge instead of listening to like the actual doctors in this situation and like medical professionals and everything. Like they seriously wanted to try to write a law that would force doctors to try to reimplant ectopic pregnancies. Like this is the kind of like medical illiteracy that we're working with here. And I'm not saying that they have to be medical doctors in order to write law, but at the same time, they need to actually listen to the medical professionals in this. And the fact is that the white men in charge are just not doing that. Like they're just not listening to them.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat over here on this side, and the chat is also split. A lot of people saying no, it was definitely a troll, and other people saying like, well, a good troll leaves you doubting, and like the whole the I'm just a little they them. I don't know. That sounds like somebody fucking with you, right? But then it sounded real sad at the end, and I don't know what to feel.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I guess I was a little confused because they seem to identify more envy, when talking about being they them, but then they called themselves "I'm just a little guy," which maybe they were just using that in a colloquial sense, maybe. But
I've heard "little guy" used as a term to describe that non-binary people have used to describe themselves on TikTok and whatnot. Is it actually one of my favorite? Just while we're on the topic and we're just doing random asides here, one of my favorite viral sounds on TikTok was this non-binary person. It was like, woman, no, man, nah, adjacent, little guy, little fella, yeah, but like boy, girl, nah,
okay,
next to,
next. No, yeah, I don't know the nomenclature there. I guess in my experience, I would not call anybody identifying as they them as little guy.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, because that would come off weird from me. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we got two atheist callers on the line, and we still have lines open for theist callers. We've had a few theist callers try. We had somebody call in a couple of times saying that we have no basis for morality, and would love to talk to that person. And we had somebody else calling in about some other fucking thing that's now on the bottom of the Terminator calls list. I can't read anymore. But like, I'd love to talk to whoever. So pick up that phone if you believe in a God or a Jesus or a Bible or a whatever. 720-619-2288. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're out there and you think that your God is such a good God, omnibenevolent, I dare say, and not actually evil, then pick up that phone, 720-619-2288. But do you have your eye on either one of these, or are you good with
I feel like we should get Gil in here because I really only had a couple of concepts, and it's I don't want this person waiting for too terribly long to educate us on holy water when I just was kind of dicking around with the idea of holy water. You know what I mean? Feels rude to have him waiting online for a joke.
All right, let's get Gil in here. What is up there, Gil? How you doing?
Fine,
You're on the
thank you.
line.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Forrest has never had a bad day, by the way.
True.
Oh, I know. Forrest, do you have questions about holy water? I've heard you mention this a couple times over the past year, and I know lots about it. I'm not joking. I told the screener that I was in a Roman Catholic seminary for 10 years, and I was trained in lots of the old ways.
All right. My major questions were just stupid ones. I wanted to know what the limitations of what we could do with holy water was. Can holy water be diluted down and still be holy water?
Yes, it can. If your holy water is getting low, say you're down to a gallon, as long as you do not put more than 50% into it of new water, you can keep filling it up. So you let your holy water go down, and then as long as you just keep pouring like a pitcher in at a time, you can replenish your Easter water for the entire year, unless the water gets dirty somehow.
But so if say I have 1 gallon of holy water, and I use half of it, and so now I have a half a gallon of holy. I'll say 2. So I have 2 gallons of holy water. I use 1. Yep. I now have 1 gallon of holy water. I add 1 gallon of like spring water to that. I now have 2 gallons of holy water again?
Yeah, you have to use less than a gallon though for for your refill.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
If you go more than 50%, it's more than 50% new water. So that kills the holy water.
Let me make it even easier.
If you do 49%, you can keep making as much holy water as you want.
Well, see, and that's what I have an issue with. So let's make it even easier. I have here 3 gallons of holy water. I use 1. I add 1 gallon back. I now have 3 gallons of holy water again, right?
Yep.
And I use 1, and I now add another gallon of non-holy water. I now have 3 gallons of holy water again?
Yes. You can do it for the entire year.
Right.
You're supposed to dump it out on Holy Thursday.
The issue that I have
so you take your entire bucket of holy water at church. You have to dump it out into blessed ground. And then there's no holy water on Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday until the Easter Vigil when you make the new holy water.
Hold on, Gil.
During the Easter Vigil.
Gil, I have real quick. If we pour it out on top of a coffin, like in a cemetery, does that create a Night of the Living Dead situation?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Because the coffin blocks it.
So here's the thing that I have an issue with is the term that I was trained with is serial dilution. And so you have a sample of a thing, you take a tiny bit and you dilute it, and then you take a tiny bit of that and dilute that, and take a tiny bit of that and dilute that, and eventually the amount is it's like 1-to-1 ratio, and then it's like a 10-to-1 ratio, and then it's like 100-to-1 ratio, and then it's like 1,000-to-1 ratio, to a point where the amount of original source in the thing is functionally 0. And so eventually, if you were serially diluting this holy water this way, pouring out a gallon in service, and then adding a gallon of non-holy water back over and over, there comes a point where not one single water molecule in there is the original holy water. It is completely replenished with new water. And I wonder why there is a temporal constraint and not a molecular constraint to that turnover.
Because the rules were written before molecules were discovered.
Right, but shouldn't that be updated then?
Yeah, it should, but
that's what I'm so confused by. Can you distill holy water? Could you evaporate holy water and condense it, and then is it still holy water after that? Or does evaporation destroy the holiness? Or are there rules for that?
No, it's not on that. So a couple of years ago, well, I guess it's now 6 years ago, did you see the one about the priest who went up into a helicopter and sprayed holy water over the entire town to cure it of COVID?
No, but that kind of ties into what I was going to ask
water
next.
in the helicopter.
Wow, that sucks.
To spray the entire town, and he was serious. He really, really thought that would cure COVID. And I personally know a bishop who went to the hospitals in his city and wasn't allowed in because of COVID restrictions, but stood out in front of the building and threw holy water at it to cure COVID.
Okay.
And this was a bishop.
My issue is just the mechanics of it, because if there's no rules on evaporation and there's no rules on transport, John referenced earlier somebody putting holy water in a squirt gun. There's no rules on how the holy water is disseminated, right? It's just as long as it gets on something, it's not blessed, right?
No.
Okay. What about? Hear me out here. I should also ask this before I get there. If there's a temporal constraint on holy water, there's a day you have to throw it out. If you didn't throw it out, would it not be holy water anymore?
It's kind of not holy water if it gets too dirty. So that's why in the back of the church in the sacristy, there's some sort of vessel that holds the holy water. So the old ones are earthenware. They're stoneware with a spigot on. More modern ones are all stainless steel, and the spigot on it has to be so high up on the side of it because stuff gets in the water or stuff is already in the water and it settles down into the bottom and you end up with slimy stuff on the bottom of the container. That's not holy. It's kind of holy. You still have to dump it out on church ground. You can't
Wait a minute,
just
so the
dump
water
it
in
down the drain.
The water in the container is holy, but the sludge on the bottom, the particulate, isn't
The
holy.
sludge is not.
Okay,
so
but like
in
water,
like in churches with
Forrest, that's
you
distilled
go
evil.
into you go into church and there's the holy water font beside the door where everybody dips their hands in to bless themselves as they go into church.
Isn't that unsanitary?
Every now and then they have to be cleaned out. And the way you clean those out, because they get slimy, you have to soak all the water up with a blessed sponge and squeeze it into a blessed bucket. And then you take the bucket outside and you clean the bucket out outside.
Wait, hold on. I have a question. How can you tell a regular bucket from a blessed one?
You take a Sharpie and you draw a cross on it.
I was going to say, it's just the same way you can. Yeah, somebody blessed the thing, so it's the same way as regular versus holy water.
You're not allowed to use it for anything else.
My issue with the whole thing is you're talking about this container that has a sump of unholiness at the bottom of it, and when you're talking about water, like in the ocean, for example, right? If you've ever been swimming out in open water, you'll notice that there's a really sharp line where you kind of go down and then very suddenly the water gets significantly colder. And that's called a thermocline. And there's the same thing with like wave activity, like the waves moving on top of the water. There is what's called a wave base, where there's this very sharp boundary where the violent activity of the waves on top don't actually affect anything underneath anymore. The energy is gone, right? And what you're telling me is there is also a similar boundary level for holiness. A sharp line where God's love stops in a bucket of water. And I want to explore that, and that's neat to me. I want the algebra on that, That's interesting. That's neat.
There's no algebra, and the priest will tell you it is a mystery. You need to stop thinking and just believe.
Right, and that's hard for me as a scientist. But
because logical thought is from Satan. Satan is the first one to question God. Don't be like Satan. Don't test.
Right. My issue, and that's a whole other conversation, because I know you know this, but God did submit to testing several times in the Bible. So what the fuck? But anyway, the whole thing that bothers me is so my original thought, and I think John and I talked about this on a show years ago, was if holy water is able to evaporate and distill, which I know you said there aren't rules for, but if holy water is able to do these things, and if holy water is able to be diluted with the amount of holy water that's been made, and how big, then how much holy water is in the water cycle, you know what I mean? I want to know that. That's another question. How big of a bucket, how much holy water can be made holy water at one time? How much water can be made holy water at any given moment?
Oh, it's a whole bunch. But you can't do a swimming pool because it has too many chemicals in it. You can't do a pond because there are too many things in the water.
So it has to be...
The water has to be relatively pure, and one of the ways to make the water pure... When you fill your bucket up with the water to be turned into holy water, you'll also have to sprinkle blessed salt into it. Once upon a time, that was the only way to really purify water, to put salt in the water. Now it's just ceremonial, and so you take a salt shaker and you have to bless the salt shaker, you bless the salt, and you draw a cross on it or paint a cross. And so part of the blessing, they sprinkle salt into the water
So
for the water to be purified.
Right. Okay. So let me make sure I understand this correctly. What you're telling me right now is that in the movie Dogma, right, when the one character that is somehow related to Jesus Christ slides across the counter and then quickly blesses the sink full of like dirty soap water, that was bullshit.
It was bullshit.
Yep, that didn't work.
I feel so lied. Fuck you, Kevin Smith.
That wasn't
Son
water.
Of a bitch. What is there a ratio? Stuff. Is there a ratio that must be met of salt to water? Like, is it just a sprinkle no matter how much water, or is it a certain like X amount of salt for each gallon of water that's being blessed?
It's ceremonial, and it can be a very tiny amount. I'll tell you. If you want, I'll tell you about when the Monsignor came to my house when I was a kid, and he blessed the house. He didn't have any holy water on him. So he asked my mother for a glass of water and some salt. So he poured salt into his hand. He blessed the salt. It's just a little bit, threw it into the glass of water, and then he blessed the water. Then he went around the house and he splashed water into each room of the house as he blessed the entire house.
Okay, so you can make it on the fly.
I still have the glass.
Right. Why wouldn't you? Okay, so
because
we've learned some things. We've learned some things here. So just to recap here is the water has to be relatively pure. It can't be have any particulate matter in it. If the particulate matter forms in it and settles to the bottom, that is no longer pure, but that doesn't affect the holiness of the entire concept. Salt is ceremonial. It doesn't necessarily exist in a ratio. But there isn't an upper limit. So if hypothetically, so just run away, like we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, it's completely empty. We fill the Olympic-sized swimming pool with distilled water, so there's no chlorine in it. And I have just a pinch of salt. We could hypothetically make an entire Olympic-sized swimming pool of holy water in that instance, right?
Exactly, because the priest has been personally chosen by God and consecrated during holy orders to perform different miraculous things, such as making holy water, making holy oils, and confecting the body and blood of Jesus out of tasteless flour discs and cheap wine.
Last question, because we got other callers, we got to move. So my last question, because my whole thing has already been destroyed. The fact that there is a temporal limit on holy water. My question was, with all the holy water that has ever been made, it surely has evaporated. It is now in the water cycle. Every time it rains, it's raining holy water. That's why there's no more vampires. That was my thought. Clearly, that doesn't work because every year we would have to refresh the entire hydrological cycle. That's not possible. I didn't know there was a temporal limit to the holiness. That's news. But I still am interested in a sprinkler system. I still am interested in a sprinkler system, and I'm still interested in window washer fluid for cars, and I'm still interested in super soakers and camel packs. I'm still interested in the mass production holy water vampire deterrent and repellent community and the business model along with it. That's what I'm focused on in the capitalist
I'm fairly certain I saw in a vampire movie one time that they blessed the water, the fire suppression system, like the water sprinklers, and it was able to defeat the vampires. Yeah,
if that's not a thing, it should be.
Yeah, Gil. Last question before we let you go. Now, hear me out. Okay, what if a priest gets up in a helicopter, right, and flies up in front of a storm front, right? So it's going to be purified water and everything like that held in these clouds. In the clouds, right? It's going to be raining. What if he blesses it there, and then he has army dudes armed with those guns that shoot salt out? What if we made automatic versions of that, and they just started shooting at the clouds with the salt while the priest? Yeah, see?
Yes.
Engineers.
Oh my gosh, you're terribly frightening me here. I think you're an agent of Satan.
I definitely am.
Yes, we that's established.
Hail
yes, we are.
Satan.
But the question remains: can we bless clouds?
I'm not sure on that one.
Well, what the fuck
they always
was
shut
your
my
education
questions
then,
down
Gil?
before I could ever
Like,
get
that's
that
the-
far.
Oh. Well, Gil, I sincerely appreciate the 15 minutes of your time to answer, because these have been burning questions for me. I could talk about this for a while. I have a million more, but like this has been illuminating for me. So thank you so much.
Well, maybe sometime I'll call on some really slow night, and you can hit me with more questions.
Oh, I've got a million. I want to know what the exact ratio that makes the water quote dirty, because I'm talking about fucking holy water vitamins here. I'm talking about all sorts of things. We are sitting on a holy gold mine, Gil, and we can make a lot of money by blessing a lot of people.
The really wild one is, when does there's a special glass and metal thing that you put a host in that goes into the monstrance for benediction. The great big gold thing that they put the host in for Eucharistic adoration.
I think so.
There is a point where the bread degrades and it's no longer Jesus.
What?
When the host goes bad and stale, you have to get rid of it before that happens.
The Christ cracker's got to be crunching, otherwise it's
right.
not.
If it turns stale, it's no longer Jesus, and you've committed a really, really grave sin.
Stale as Satan, crunchy as Christ. Gotcha.
Right.
Well, I'm learning more and more. Snap, crackle, and pop up here, the three wise men. Anyway, Gil, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for the illuminating call. We're going to jump on to a theist next, but thanks for hanging out and for talking to us about this stuff.
Thanks for having me. Love you guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you, Gil.
I've learned so much.
Right. Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? I love having fun conversations like that. And you got to think outside the box, bless the clouds and then shoot salt into it. I mean, I feel like that's going to work.
Yeah, you only need a tiny bit. He says just ceremonial. Literally, just fucking throw some goddamn salt into if there's a fog over a city, throw some salt in the goddamn air, say some words, whole city's blessed. Bam.
Yeah, just
job done.
You got to do the spectacles, something crotch left and right kind of thing. Anyways, all right. So we've got Kay calling in from the Middle East somewhere, and Kay would like to talk about something. What's up there, Kay? How you doing?
Oh, hello. Good to be back. I've heard Forrest talk a lot about if he were to believe in a God, that he would become an anti-theist. And I've been doing a lot of research on this topic because I personally do believe in a God and think it is evil. The technical term is misotheist. Anti-theist is just is being against theism and people worshiping that thing. And the
I would say I'm
of
both.
Regardless of that's fair. I want to go into the concept. God.
Yeah, so misotheism, I'm just misotheism is the hatred of gods, and then anti-theism is the philosophical position that theism should be opposed. So yeah, I'm both of those things.
Yep. Okay. But wouldn't those kind of be contradictory? Because theism was just the belief in one. You have to be some sort of theist to be a mesotheist.
I guess if you really want to split hairs with it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like if I would then say I am an anti-theist, and if there is a God, then I would be a mesotheist. Would be a fine way to put that. I've frequently said that if such a God exists, then I would oppose it. So yeah, I guess that's how I could frame those sentences. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I personally do believe there's something that could be called a God out there. I don't believe any of the triomnies because I think they're logically incoherent. But if I'm more convinced than not, I don't think it's a 100%. The other explanations of like eternal universe, all of that, I think are valid. They're not as convincing to me personally. But this thing has to, at the very least, be indifferent to human suffering, and at the very worst, actively wanting suffering to happen for some reason.
Okay. Why do you believe this thing exists? And also, what is this thing?
I don't know what this thing is. I have no way to know. But
okay, why do you think such a thing
exists? That is acausal. Because the universe seems to follow under causality, so there has to be something that is acausal. I don't know if it has a mind. I don't know if it's a person. I know nothing about it except it's acausal and has the ability to inflate universes or create matter or something of that nature.
Okay. So
it
in
might
this
not
situation,
even be a sentient thing. It's just a force. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. And so if it is indeed a force, then it is just inimical to life and it doesn't matter at all. But if it is sentient, then it would fall under the category of malicious, right?
True. And even if it isn't sentient, there are non-sentient things that are opposed to flourishing, like earthquakes, for example. Or
right, but can you call
strikes.
an earthquake? But can you call that evil?
From our perspective, it is. It doesn't have a mind, but it is from our perspective an evil thing. It's something that's bad for our flourishing, causes harm.
So you're using the word evil to just say anything antithetical to like human development.
Yeah, human development or happiness or well-being.
Okay. I think that's a pretty loose way to use the word evil, but I hear where you're coming with it, and like to stick to that, then, I would question the same way that I would question someone who is calling and saying God is good because the universe had to come from somewhere and there must be an uncaused cause and all these things. Why would you make that a god, or why would you call that? What I guess you did get around that because you also said it may not be a conscious agent. I guess just why do you need anything like that in the first place? Why not say the universe is eternal or caused? Oh, excuse me, I'm real hiccupy right now. Or caused itself, or like any of the usual things. What caused that thing? If there's one, is that not still special pleading, no matter whether you give it a personality or not? Like, I think you're hitting all the same logical issues that the Kalam cosmological argument usually gets. You're just adding in the caveat of it may not be sentient.
Because, again, this is purely going off my intuition, and intuition is a lying bastard sometimes. So I'm totally open to the possibility that I am wrong, but it seems to be that the universe follows causality. Causality is baked into how this reality we exist in functions. And it could be an infinite regress, but infinite regress just doesn't seem to compute for me.
And so you instead rely on special pleading.
Something that's acausal. The universe could be acausal, but I have no reason to believe it is. It could be the universe that is acausal.
I would argue that you have no reason to believe that it... you have the exact same amount of reason to believe that it is not acausal as you do to believe that it is. You have no way of running tests on this.
That is true.
Well, so like I'm just want.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Pardon me.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, do you consider like it when it rains? Is that acausal?
No.
Okay, then I like the beginning of the universe or the inflation event, rapid expansion of everything. If it is just a natural process that happens, then it would similarly be, not acausal. Like there would be a cause to it. But it feels to me like you're just arbitrarily in an ad hoc fashion stating that there has to be a cause.
There doesn't have to be a cause. It could be infinite regression. That is a valid interpretation. It just feels...
Well, infinite regression is less logical than... Infinite regression is less logical than what you're...
Didn't catch that.
I was just saying, infinite regression seems less logical than the logical trap that you're currently finding yourself in.
Less logical? Yeah, I don't go with the infinite regression. I think there was a causal start.
Right. But I'm just saying, like that's it. both of these situations seem to be hung up on logical fallacies, and I don't understand why you're picking one over the other rather than just leaving both questions unanswered.
Human brain, find answer. I don't know how much to. It's hard for my brain to say I don't know and needs to look at the answers presented and pick the one that makes the most sense with the information we have.
So you are just
totally
choosing
open
to
the
believe a
possibility
thing.
I'm wrong.
I appreciate
Say it
that,
again?
but like you are just choosing to believe a thing because you want to. That
Less I want to, more that it just makes sense to me. I can't choose to be convinced by an argument. I just am.
sure, okay. It sounds to me, and this is no shade against you. It just sounds to me like we are both atheists for the exact same reason on the exact same points. You're just choosing to add in this, addendum, this extra step of magic stuff because it vibes with you. And like, I think that if you were, I think that you're the things you're pointing out here, it sounds like you're being self-reflective about it. I think if you were consistent in that self-reflection, then you would come to a point where you say, all right, it is not logical for me to call myself a theist anymore.
That's fair,
That's just me.
but I also can't take that little thing out the back of my mind that's like, there had to be something. Like whether there has to be a definitive start, or it just is turtles all the way down. And start,
that's what you don't.
It just clicks more with me than turtles.
Right, and you just that's what I'm saying. I understand why turtles all the way down is a frustrating answer, but at the end of the day, you don't know that there had to be a start or what that start had to have looked like. So like at the end of the day, man, it sounds like we are on the same page and you are trying to not be. But that's just me. And that's just how I'm framing this from 8 minutes of talking to you. So maybe I'm missing something.
No, that's totally fair. It's just, it is an unanswered and possibly unanswerable question unless we get time travel somehow, which I don't think we will ever get. So it is purely a. Say that again?
I said I don't want it. It's gonna be weird. All right, man.
It's the only way to answer this question.
Yeah, I disagree with you, but like, flip, dude, I'm gonna be over here on my infinite turtles, and you're not, and that's okay. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us though, and presenting this thing. I appreciate learning a new word. I didn't know misotheism was a thing.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to. There's also distheism, which is not the opposition of God, but that God is not all good.
Hey, that we both have that as well. Hey, coming in here with the vocab. I appreciate this call. We have some more argumentative ones on the line, so I'm gonna switch over to one of them. But thanks for teaching me a word. I don't think you have a reason to believe what you believe, but at least you're honest about it. So like, hell yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Take care, Kay.
See you, Kay.
You know what I want next.
Yep, I think I do. 12?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Let's talk to DB from Canada. What's up? How's Narnia going there, DB?
Not bad, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. Forrest has never had a bad day.
I'm stretching. I'm waking up.
So DB, what you want to talk about today?
Well, I guess your topic was God is not good. So I'm not being very creative. I thought I'd just address that I feel that God must be good by necessity.
Why do you think? Which God?
Sorry?
Well, which God?
The Judeo-Christian God, the God of the Old and New Testament.
Oh, the one that rapes 14-year-old girls. Got it. All right. So how's he good?
One that drowned the entire world.
Well, okay, that's fine. We'll get to that. Yeah, I think by necessity that if he is a creator and if he is able to sustain, maintain, create the entire universe as it is, there can't be that sort of depravity in him, that sort of conflict where you're being evil, you're using in the philosophical definition that it's the absence of what is good. That's not an entity in and of itself. Darkness, a light can dispel darkness, but darkness cannot dispel the light. If he's good, if he's righteous, if he has the ability to be of sound mind, create and control things, and foresee the future, all that stuff, offer wisdom and knowledge, that depravity cannot sort of exist in him. Now, if that's a valid predicate, he acts in many ways that we don't always comprehend. Yes, he ordered the genocide of many nations. Some of the laws and the Levitical precepts and so forth are a little austere. They sound a little strange to our, I don't know if it's our foreign, it sounds a little archaic to our modern ears and so forth. I imagine that,
okay, DB,
yeah.
DB. Can you explain? Can you provide an argument or context where genocide is good?
And, yeah, granted. Listen, I read into the Bible and so forth and believe in many doctrines of the Christian faith and so forth. I do have some stumbling blocks somewhere. This is one of them with the genocides and so forth. I will try. I'm just speculating that in God and His wisdom, just foresaw that these people who were extremely evil and given many centuries to repent, as it's written, they didn't, and there was just a sort of corruption that was going to
repent of what? Repent
sorry?
of what exactly?
Repent of those sins, that they were known to be child sacrifices and so forth, human sacrifices.
Right. The Israelites did that
there
too.
was just atrocities within that nation, just reprehensible.
Right. The Israelites sacrificed children too, though.
Right. Against God's will, and He dealt with them accordingly.
No. So God ordered. Hold on. God ordered the Israelites to sacrifice their children.
Jephthah's one example.
No, God never ordered the Israelites to do that. Now, there's a case of Jephthah where he made a vow. Is that what you mean, or you know that he ordered?
Well, that's a good.
He never ordered it.
That is one example, because Jephthah said, "I will sacrifice whatever comes out of my house," not knowing what that would be. And God, who did know what that would be, then followed through on that child sacrifice. But also, like, the whole story of Jesus is a story of human sacrifice. So, like, there's a lot there. And, like, what you're talking about here, you're saying this as if you are also believing that the Bible is true. And in the Bible, Isaiah 45:7, I form the light, I create darkness, I create peace, and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So you're saying God is good. God says Himself that He makes evil things and makes evil things happen. And your cop-out answer of saying, well, there's some stuff that we don't understand, there's no way that you would ever use that. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here. I'm complimenting you by saying I don't think there's ever any situation that you would use that argument in any other way. If I told you today that I think that we should have slavery, you would not think that I was a good person with confusing methods. You would just say I'm an evil piece of shit, I hope. Meanwhile, God in Exodus and Leviticus gives explicit instructions on how to get slaves, how to beat slaves, how to treat Hebrew and non-Hebrew slaves differently, how to trick a Hebrew slave into being a permanent slave like a non-Hebrew slave, how to pass slaves down to your children. Very explicitly pro-slavery front to back in the entire Bible. And you're sitting here saying, yeah, but that and the genocide and the child rape and the time that He told them to keep the virgin girls as spoils of war and all that stuff, yeah, you don't know why. Maybe He had a good reason. I don't think you're a bad enough person to really believe that. I think you're playing just a cop-out game to try to make excuses for this God.
So, before you respond there, DB, hold on. I just want to bring up some relevant verses here. We've got Exodus 13:2 that says, consecrate to me all the firstborn, whatever is the first to open the womb among the Israelites of human beings and animals is mine. It was later expanded. Sorry, my browser's having a tough time. It's expanded in Exodus 13:12-15, where it's more explicit about sacrificing the firstborn among all the Israelites, right? And the Exodus 22:29-30 also reinforces that the firstborn of your sons you shall give to me, right? In the same way, because it pairs it with you shall do the same with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall remain with its mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. So that's definitely sacrificing the small children of the Israelites. Now, if you go to and we know that this was actually talking about, hold on, don't say no yet. We know that this is actually talking about child sacrifice here, because in Ezekiel 20, it goes further and it says, I, the Lord, am your God. Follow my statutes. Be careful to observe my ordinances and hallow my Sabbaths. They may be a sign between, but the children of Israel rebelled against me. They did not follow my statutes and were not careful. Sorry, that's the wrong set of passages. I can find this passage, but it's Ezekiel 20, where it talks about how God gave detestable commands that were supposed to like shock and horrify the Israelites. And this is referring specifically, and it makes this explicit in that section, to be about child sacrifice. So the Israelites were definitely sacrificing their own children there, just to put that into context.
Yeah, thank you for that. No, I'm sorry, there's not a Hebrew scholar under the sun that will support that interpretation. No, consecrating the firstborn just means dedicated.
No, yes.
Samuel.
No. Yes, this is, I'm getting this from biblical scholars. This is well-known biblical. Let's see. I was supposed to hear a lecture from Francesca Stavrakopoulou specifically on this. So, I mean, she makes this argument. I can bring up multiple different.
She's got crazy interpretations. She doesn't get it.
Oh, okay. Obviously, the ones that disagree with you are going to be the crazy biblical scholars, when biblical scholarship is.
But you know very well that does not comport with the rest of the scriptures whatsoever.
What rest of the fucking scripture makes this okay?
Also, which scripture?
No. But I'm sorry. If you're saying it in the book of Hebrews or the Torah, or the Tanakh, more specifically, it doesn't. God was appalled by what the Manasseh.
Why did he order it? Why did he order it specifically? Why did he specifically order it?
He didn't order it. No, consecrating was not a burnt offering. Consecrating yourself, like Samuel was dedicated as a Nazarite. That Hannah prayed for a son. He said, "Yes, I will dedicate him to the Lord." Just means he will be now in God's services, so that his parents are coming.
No. This is very specifically talking. Because I read to you directly that you were supposed to do the exact same to the oxen and the sheep. They were sacrificial animals.
No, that's true, but no, I don't. As far as they're concerned, I don't know if they were burnt offerings or not. I don't believe so. The firstborn was it was given to God for his purposes. If the Levitical priests it would be as service for them, for their food or whatever, but it's dedicated to the Lord, not as a burnt offering.
This is a weird fucking coat. This is a weird fucking coat there, bud.
No, it's not. No, I'm not being a convenience or anything as such. No, again, not a Hebrew. I said
you are. This is coat.
No Hebrew scholar would agree with your interpretation.
Prove that.
Firstborn.
Prove that statement.
I
can substantiate. I can substantiate mine. I'm wondering if you can substantiate yours.
I'd have to look it up because bear with me here. I don't mean to be.
Fucking fact checking and shit.
I've never heard this before. I've never heard that interpretation before, so I'm not. So I'd have to look.
It's just reading the words off the fucking page, DB. God damn.
No. I said the interpretation. I've read the lines before 1,000 times over. Never the interpretation.
And you've convinced yourself it's not about child sacrifice. But whenever God is upset in the Bible about another group doing child sacrifices, it's not the child sacrifice that he cares about. You know how I know it's not the child sacrifice? Because in instances like in First Samuel 15, 1-3, he specifically says to kill the children, the babies, those suckling on the titties of the people that he's supposed to be killing. Also, in Numbers 31, 17-18, God specifically points out that you are supposed to kill the little babies, right? The little babies, you're supposed to kill them, but you're supposed to force the young girls into sexual slavery. So it's definitely not that he has a problem with killing of children or sacrificing of children. He just doesn't like it when another group sacrifices children to a different god. That's the only thing that he doesn't like.
Oh, that's a very biased interpret. Like the rest
The
of the
bias,
Bible
it's just
filled with
fucking
this
reading words off of a
compassion.
goddamn page,
No,
DB.
but you know, well, obviously you've read the Bible, so I mean, you know that
Yeah.
he abhorred child sacrifice.
No, he
Manasseh,
doesn't.
they were sent into captivity due to that. Specifically, when Manasseh committed those crimes, he said, "For this reason, you will be expelled into captivity." To the Judahites at that point, the northern tribes prior to that in 722, the Assyrians, for those reasons. For those reasons, specifically, he brought up child sacrifice. He was appalled. He said, "I didn't even fathom that you guys would commit such crimes, such heinous crimes." I'm sorry, you're not harmonizing everything.
Then why?
What?
Then why does God specifically order the murder of children?
Of the enemy nations, of the nations that were evil at that point, and the Amalekites always were right. Ordered to slaughter the entirety, anything living, anything that had breath of life in it, he was to slaughter them. That's right. This is where I'm saying I'm a bit stumped on it, but I would just speculate to say that there was an evil nation, whatever progeny was going to come out of their loins was going to be as depraved as them. I don't know. I can only say that God knew what would become of them. They had no hope of becoming righteous. I don't know.
DB, rather than you sitting here and struggling to come up with a reason why children may be evil and they should be killed because they might be evil someday, I'll just ask you like a more general question. Is there ever any situation that you can think of in which it is a moral good to go into someone else's nation and kill their children?
For that reason I stated, if you can anticipate what will become of them and what evil they will propagate, you might be justified in doing so.
So you think that it is a moral good if you have a strong belief that the children in that nation will grow up to be bad people, to go and kill them preeminently?
What was the last word? What was the last word you said?
Preeminently.
Preeminently.
To go kill them ahead of time.
Right.
You see a bunch of babies. You think it's a good thing to kill babies just in case they might grow up to be bad people.
Preemptively, yes, exactly. Well, listen. These situations don't. In the entirety of Scripture, God is perceived as good. In the entirety of it, He is holy, He is righteous, He is good. His precepts and everything was good.
No,
so
that's not true.
So therefore, I am justified in giving Him the benefit of the doubt. I am justified.
You're not. No, you're not. DB, He is not perceived as good. He declares Himself good, and you are forced to say that He is good. Otherwise, He'll fucking kill you. And you're not. You are giving Him the benefit of the doubt here. You shouldn't, because the God of the Bible is a monster. And you are giving excuses to a monster because the monster is saying, I'm actually really a good guy. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your ears. Don't believe your heart. Don't believe your logic. I'm telling you I'm good, and you have no right to question it. That's the whole point of the book of Job. Is God saying, the last several chapters, several pages of the book of Job, is God saying, no matter what you do or don't think, no matter what you do or don't like, no matter how badly I hurt you or any other innocent person, you weren't there when the universe was made. I was. You have no right to question me. That's what the book of Job is all about. So, what you're doing is you're just buying into what the Bible says, which is you're too stupid to know what good is. If this guy tells you to kill a baby, you fucking kill that baby. That's evil, DB. You are advocating for evil.
Yeah, and quick fact check there, DB. King Manasseh was allowed to be captured and everything like that for Baal worship. So he was definitely sacrificing children to Baal and Molech, and allowing that.
God punished him accordingly. It was detestable in God's eyes. He's not supporting.
No, it wasn't the child. No. But you see, you're focusing on the act, the act of child sacrifice, when it was the actual act that was. Hold on, the actual act that was detestable to God was worshiping another god. That's the only thing that was detestable. It's very obvious through Jephthah. Answer me this, just yes or no, real quick, DB. Did God accept the burnt offering of Jephthah's daughter?
It wasn't a burnt offering.
Oh my God.
dedicated her.
I'm so happy. You don't know how giddy you've just fucking made me. Okay. Because I'm going to read this to you. All right.
I've
It's
read it
Judges
1,000
11.
times.
Oh, have you? Because you don't, it doesn't seem like you fucking have whatsoever.
It was
right?
It was
All
for
right.
chastity.
Jephthah's
it was for
vow. No,
chastity that they were.
DB, you're gonna fucking listen to me right now, okay? Jephthah's vow. I'm starting in verse 30 in Judges 11, right? And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will give me the Ammonites into my hand, then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return victorious from the Ammonites shall be the Lord's." To be, and let me just emphasize this real quick. To be offered up by me as a burnt offering. Did you hear that? I'll whisper it. I'll whisper it.
Yeah.
To be offered up to me as a burnt offering. And then right. And then at the end of that, Jephthah's daughter, it says at the end of 2 months, she returned to her father, who did with her according to the vow he made.
And you're right.
What was the vow?
That's how it takes, that he
was the vow?
Listen.
Right. What was the vow? Tell me the vow.
The vow? Well,
the vow was
he did with her. He made a vow to do a burnt offering, whatever came out of his house. He was expecting a sheep or a cattle to come out of his house. Out came his daughter. That vow was now repurposed, if you will, as a dedication to the Lord. That's why she went out and waited for her chastity.
Oh.
Holy Jesus, motherfucker.
I forgot. No, DB's right. It says in the Bible, as it says in the Bible, vows are totally based not on the words you actually say, but on the intention of what you think might happen later. What verse was that again, DB, that says that?
Oh, no, say that. Yeah, you're being sarcastic. Listen. No, I'm being
very sarcastic.
Guys,
yeah.
Guys, he would not have...
DB, hold on. No, DB, I need to know this. I need to know, do you know the difference between eisegesis and exegesis here?
I do, yes.
Yeah, okay, what's eisegesis?
Eisegesis is reading into it what in your own biases and interpret it, how you interpret it, how you want to read it, and so you're not extracting what it's actually saying.
Okay, good.
So
did you do eisegesis or exegesis on that passage?
No, I read an article upon it, and he went through it, the precepts and everything that was harmonizing the entirety of the text. She went out and wept over her virginity. Is what she wept. Not that she was going to die, that she will never be married.
So
just
to be clear, just to be clear, DB, the same God that ordered slavery and genocide, that guy. Now, 2,000 years later, when it's a little bit, socially unpalatable to sacrifice your own daughter, now a modern biblical scholar has decided that there's a new reinterpretation of this, and that is actually the truth of the Bible. Yeah, and that's not eisegesis at all.
No, he was well-versed.
You are you're deciding what this says, not based on what's actually in the text, but what you feel like the text might have meant, despite what was written down, and despite the other parts of the text, and that's not eisegesis at all, of course.
No, if I may, guys, whoever reads that text, you must admit there's a peculiarity in the end that her and her friends are mourning over that she will never be married. That's a strange thing to do when she's about to die.
It's not.
Must admit, it might strike anybody as odd.
No, it doesn't. It does not strike me as odd, because this is the same book that lauds Lot and his family in Sodom and Gomorrah as the good people when they now have to start a new civilization through incest and rape. So no, I don't think that's odd. I think that's pretty standard weird-ass sex shit that's in the Bible front to back.
No.
The Bible is obsessed with sex, and it's very fucking weird, and that sounds just as weird as the rest of it.
No, I mean, the lamentation is odd that she's weeping over not to be married as opposed to about to die. Why?
No, it's
she's
not.
About to die. She's not going to sit there and say, well, I'll never be married.
No, it is. It's not weird, especially considering, number one, as I just said, the Bible is fucking weird and obsessed with sex. The entire fucking book is. And so, no, that's not out of place at all. And especially a young virgin girl being more upset in the story about not getting fucked than not being able to live sounds right, considering the fact that the entire book treats women as property whose only purpose is to bear children when they're ordered to do so. So no, it doesn't sound odd at all. Especially considering, here's another verse for you, DB. When we're looking back at numbers, you're sitting here making excuses for this and making excuses for the genocide that John brought up earlier when you said, well, they had to kill those babies because they might have been evil. And yet in Numbers, God says, kill every male among the little ones, every woman who has known a man by sleeping with him, but keep the young girls who have not known a man by sleeping with them alive for yourself. God says, keep the little virgins to do whatever you want to do with. So when it comes to killing babies, they might be evil, that's okay. When it comes to killing baby little girls, keep them as sex slaves. So now you're sitting here talking about, it's weird that she was lamenting dying without having sex. No, that's what the very male, very sex-crazed people who wrote the Bible were interested in. They had no concept that a young girl would want her own life for herself. They were like, the sex slave must be sad that she doesn't get to have sex. That's it. It seems very thematically sound.
Well,
right.
No, that's a little.
So
that's
DB,
a little.
Well, DB, I do want to prove you wrong and yet again. I know I'm doing that a lot here, but you said that there are no biblical scholars whatsoever that make the argument that child sacrifice happened in Israel. And I'm going to read you a list here. So Heath D. Durrell has a monograph called Child Sacrifice in Ancient Israel. Francesca Stavrakopoulos, like I mentioned earlier, Susan Nidich, Mark S. Smith, John D. Levinson, James Kugel, and Otto Eisenfeld, and Paul G. Mosca are all the ones that argue for it. There are three dissenting opinions there against the child sacrifice, but the general consensus among scholars is that child sacrifice did indeed take place in ancient Israel. So no, you're just fucking factually wrong.
No, I'm sorry. I said the interpretation of being the firstborn being dedicated to the Lord was not a human sacrifice. The firstborn being dedicated to the Lord, no Hebrew scholar would agree with you. That's the interpretation of it, that they were
I just read off multiple ones that make that exact argument.
Even if you want to move the goalposts over there, DB, that doesn't get you out of what John originally said that you laughed at and said was ridiculous, which is that God wasn't upset about child sacrifice. God was upset that children were being sacrificed to the wrong God. And that is why he was then okay with killing a whole nation of people.
That's wrong. That's wrong. No, that's wrong. They were just committing crimes that were atrocities just in and of themselves. So then the
child sacrifices, which are given as a direct reason for things like the flood, that actually wasn't a reason, and God was lying then. Or just being inconsistent?
No, just sacrificing a child to anything was an abomination to him. Anything, whether it's Molech,
except for what John just told you is the academic consensus among scholars.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if John read that. He's talking about the firstborn, the dedication of the firstborn. They're all agreeing that yes, the firstborn was to be sacrificed to God. No, that's just absurd. I imagine these are a bunch of atheist scholars. They might be Hebrew scholars, but I'm sorry, I meant Hebrew as in they are theists. They are Jews by religion. They're Jews by religion.
Of course. Someone who isn't in your cult can't judge the texts of your cult with historical accuracy. They have to believe like you do in order to be correct.
No, but they have a deeper understanding. I mean, an atheist sees everything as absurd. Of course, they think disbelieving in God is absurd.
Oh, Forrest, fuck us for thinking it's absurd to kill a child. Yeah, kill a suckling child.
At the end of the day, DB, you can sit here and say, oh, you atheists don't understand, but neither John nor I are saying that genocide is good, or that slavery is good, or that child sacrifice is good, or that child rape is good. You, on the other hand, I've been making excuses for these things and saying there's a greater purpose that makes them all worth it. So yeah, no, I think I'd rather be on this side of the table that's able to maybe critically analyze the blood cult and the blood magic, rather than on your side that says, hey, at the end of the day, morals mean fucking nothing because, at the end, God said to do it, so it has to happen.
So I just
Yeah,
want to
that's
point
not
out
bad.
that one of the biblical scholars that I mentioned, John D. Levinson, is a practicing and religiously observant Jew.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But not
I
the
was
right
wrong
kind
in
of
not
Jew.
all of them, but I'm not all of them. But I mean, the consensus would be
James
there's no
James Kugel.
no Jew under the sun, no.
James Kugel is an Orthodox Jew.
Guys, that's
So there you go.
okay.
Which one of them is Jew enough for you to take them
That-
seriously, DB?
That hyperbole, I stated it in a hyperbolic fashion, but listen, that is not the consensus of the view on that first one dedication.
It literally is.
It's absurd.
There's hold on. No, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scholars directly addressing this topic, and there are 3 dissenting opinions. What sounds like consensus to you? Is 7 bigger than 3?
As you mean out of 10, 7 is saying one way and 3 saying the other way? Out of 10, 7 and 3?
Well, yes, there's 7 out of 10 scholars. 7 of them say that child sacrifice was happening in ancient Israel.
Listen, yes, it was, and that's why they were sent off into slavery. But I'm saying the law.
No, that's not why they were sold off into slavery. They were sold off into slavery for being arrogant.
Have you read the book of Judges?
Listen. Jesus Christ was dedicated as the firstborn. He went to the temple as the firstborn. They didn't kill him. He was the firstborn. There's your example.
You may not realize this, DB, but it's kind of a major event in the Bible that Jesus Christ was in fact killed.
But not because he was the firstborn.
It's a fucking literary parallel, bruh.
No, it's not. No, it's not, guys. You're mixing up 2 principles altogether. He was the Messiah. He was hated by the Jews. The Jews, by the law, did not sacrifice him. The Jews who hated him trumped up charges against him. You know how it reads, guys. You know how it reads. Don't mix up the 2.
And even if I accepted your interpretation, DB, still a bad story. Like, at the end of the day, you don't get out of the issue of God being a moral monster here and needing to sacrifice his own child to make a loophole in his own rules.
To the level he exalted him, it's not a sad ending story. He did die for our sins.
I didn't say it was sad. I said it's a shitty story. Maybe I misspoke. Maybe you heard sad when I said bad. I said it is an evil, immoral story.
Well, right. Well, it's not. Jesus died for many. Many people sacrificed their lives for others. And sin had to be paid for.
And if I had upon him. And now you are held to a contract that you didn't sign. If I had the choice, I would not want to be bound by this contract. I would not allow a filthy blood sacrifice to try to absolve me of my own wrongdoings, especially when these so-called wrongdoings are just being a fucking human. There is no good angle to this, DB. You're just so bought into it that you can't see any other alternatives besides your own perspective. You're locked by your own heuristics.
Well, I'm sorry, you have a rather higher esteem of man than I do. I don't think we were just being human is just an acceptable answer. We are nasty people, including myself. I do not love
I agree that you're a nasty person, John. No, I agree that you're a nasty person, DB, because a minute ago, I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and I gave you a compliment and said, I don't think you would use your logic for anything else. And then you went ahead and justified genocide and killing babies and all sorts of other horrible shit. I was going to ask you about slavery, too, because we brought that up a couple of times. I was going to ask if there's any situations in which you think slavery is moral. It seems like you do. You think that it's okay as long as God commands it. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're selling us here, is divine command theory.
Listen, I would not myself enact slavery as a means of, social whatever relationships or whatever. If God, I trust that God's judgment is good through an acquired faith in his decisions. Okay.
Right, and that is the difference between you and me, DB. Watch, I'm going to show you the difference between you and us over here. Hey, John, is slavery good?
No, it's totally bad.
Okay, is there any situation ever, forever, under any circumstances in the history of the universe where slavery is a good thing?
No, never.
Right, I agree with you. See how easy that was, DB? That's how easy it is to be a decent fucking person.
It doesn't take 5 minutes of exposition to explain why your shitty God decided to issue a commandment that you are to gather the slaves from the nations around you and own them as property. How do you square that with your all good God idea?
It's like, well, what my overarching position is that there's enough love and mercy from God continuously that these few anomalies, guys, I don't know what to make of them. They're not something that
these
I
few
would enact.
anomalies. Forrest,
So,
with
yeah.
omnibenevolence, are there a few anomalies where it's just like, like what's the anomaly like level here that would still be for omnibenevolence?
An all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving being with a few anomalies where he allows for like rape and genocide and slavery, and it just happens. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Can you just imagine the Israelite soldier shoving his sword into the face of a baby, being like, "It's just an anomaly."
Fucking, what am I supposed to do? God said so. He loves you.
Guys, he does enough holiness and mercy that God has given people countless times over. And as Jesus said, 70
Except
times,
for the
7
slaves.
times, because that is what the Father will do. The grace of Christ Jesus is just overwhelming. We don't deserve it.
Except for the slaves,
there's enough
just to be
love,
clear.
guys. You're not harmonizing.
Yeah, I don't fucking care about your preaching, bro. You're saying there's so much love and so much grace, except for the slaves, and except for all the babies, and all the people before the flood. All that fuck all of them. But there's such grace. God help me find my car keys. He helped the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. Oh, there's such grace. And the slaves, they can fuck off.
Come on. That's not trivial what I said about God's grace in Christ Jesus.
It's extremely trivial what you said. It is trivial, and it would be laughable if it wasn't so disgusting.
The grace through Christ, is trivial. The amount of sins that He's forgiven.
Yes.
On faith alone.
It is trivial. It is trivial because you live in a world, DB. You live in a world. Oh my goodness! Logic and reasoning and moral consistency. Heaven forbid, DB. You live in a world where 25 to 30,000 people, including 10,000 children, starve to death every single day. You live in a world where there are currently more people enslaved than in the sum of the transatlantic slave trade. You live in a world where we have the fucking Epstein files being hidden still. And you're going to sit here and tell me that some fucking carpenter got nailed to some wood 2,000 years ago, and that makes it all better because we get to go to a fucking theme park where we get to worship the man who oversees all that evil happening, and in the Bible says he ordains it and makes it happen and commands it and allows it and blesses it, and we get to go suck his dick for all eternity. So what a beautiful boon for us. Get all the way bent, dude. That's fucking horrific. And the fact that you can't even step one toe out of your fucking chains to see how evil it is fucking sad.
No, but that's not. I told you, I have problems with those areas also. You're not acknowledging the good parts. You're the ones that are being narrow-minded.
There are no good parts that justify the bad parts, DB.
So
DB,
hold on.
DB, how many nice, sweet things, how many puppies and kittens did Hitler have to kiss to make up for the Holocaust? Exactly how much good outweighs that bad?
I can't imagine. Too hypothetical. I can't imagine anything to save Hitler. I got no idea.
And yet, you're willing to do that for your God, who by your belief is guilty of far worse.
Oh, no, now I can quantify what good Hitler was on. I cannot do that. I have no idea. God, I can do that. Like I've told you already. The grace of Christ.
Okay, special pleading. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's okay when God does it.
Every time Moses begged for their mercy, for them not to destroy them, he relented.
DB, let me ask you this real quick. And we do have another theist to get to that also wants to talk on this topic.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you. No problem.
But Numbers 31 in verse 18, has God specifically ordering, forcing girl children into sexual slavery, much in the same way that Epstein did. Yeah, Epstein did. No.
Marriage.
Oh, that's so gross. No, it was not. No, it was not. Well,
it was
they
marriage.
weren't.
It was to be a respectful relationship. It was not to be.
Oh, it was a
sex slave like
respectful
Epstein.
fucking relationship. How about we read? Forrest, do you recall what happens to war brides?
I do. I would really love for you to pull up the verse. Also,
Oh, I got it.
Fucking
right
gross to say, oh, it's okay. They were married. They were forced into marriage. They were not excited to go. They didn't.
Dying.
You think? Oh, instead of dying, get fucked, you fucking weirdo. What's wrong with you? Like, seriously, I'm so fucking done being nice to you. What the fuck is wrong with you, genuinely? That you're gonna see a little girl forced into marriage, and yes, sex comes along with that. And then you're gonna, well, fuck, I mean, at least she's not dead. Praise God, hallelujah.
Guys, what's the difference between prearranged marriage? Was it
DB. So these are war brides, right? And here's what happens with war brides, okay? So this is Deuteronomy, in case you want to turn into your Bible. Deuteronomy 21, 10-14. When you go out to war against your enemies and the Lord your God hands them over to you and you take them captive, we can agree that's what happened in Numbers 31, right?
Right.
Okay, suppose you see among the captives a beautiful woman. Woman here is 14-year-old, like 12 and a half to 14-year-old children. Beautiful woman whom you desire and want to marry. And so you bring her home to your house. She shall, and get this, because it's fucked up, she shall shave her head, pare her nails, discard her captive's garb, and remain in your house a full month, mourning her father and mother, whom, mind you, was cut down in front of her by you. Okay, cut down in front of her, killed right in front of her, along with any kind of siblings that she might have. After that, and I need you to get this process correctly, okay, because it's very important. After that, you may go into her and be her husband. What do you think that means? So she shall be your wife is how that finishes out. What do you think that means exactly? You go into her. What does that mean right there?
It means they're married, whether they consummate it, whatever, copulate, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the warring
Israelite man penetrated a 12 and a half to 14-year-old child, and only after that point was.
Where do you get
the general marriage practices and the way that they're referenced in Numbers 31?
Also, even if we don't know the age, DB, are you asserting that it's impossible for a man to rape his wife?
Rape in the context of marriage, it's not rape. You didn't force her down. She's complying with.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I'm your hard drive searched.
DB, you are a reprehensible, irredeemable piece of fucking filth. Shame on you for what you have said through this entire fucking call. I hope it fucking hurts your heart to know that you're sitting here doing apologetics for rape, for slavery, for pedophilia, for genocide, for fucking everything, all to defend a fucking monster in the sky. Fuck you. Serious, and I mean this sincerely, from the bottom of my fucking heart. Fuck you. I seriously hope that you grow a fucking brain someday, because you are a fucking disgusting person, and you should spend the rest of your life atoning for the horrible shit you believe.
Goodbye, DB.
You don't get to fucking talk anymore on my fucking show. Get fucked.
Yep. Totally agree about that. All right. So there's another theist that's wanting to talk about how God's not evil. Do you want to talk to them?
Hey, let's hope this person isn't an asshole. Let's see. By the way, my wife brought me a fucking Pop-Tart that exploded in the thing, and so I'm gonna be munching upon this, trying to keep my blood sugar up, because I'm about to pass out. I feel terrible. Let's talk to Tom.
All right. Tom. Oh crap.
Tom.
Shoot.
Hey,
accidentally.
I got this one.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me? Make sure you guys can hear me.
I can hear you, Tom.
Yep, we got you, Tom.
Hey,
oh, okay.
let's just start off strong. What God do you believe in, Tom?
I believe in the Judeo-Christian God, Yahweh.
Okay, great. And do you think that rape is wrong?
Yes.
Awesome. Do you think that rape is possible in marriage?
Yes.
Great. Is slavery bad?
Yes.
Is genocide bad?
Yes.
Is pedophilia bad?
Yes.
Is there any circumstance in which your answers to those questions would not be yes?
No, that's all yeses across the board.
Phenomenal. You are not as big of a piece of shit as our last caller. Congratulations. You are a human being. Well done, Tom. Now, you believe in the Judeo-Christian God, the God of the Bible. Do you believe the Bible is actually true?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now we're going to start back at the beginning. God of the Bible commands all those things. Please explain why he's not evil.
Sure. So the Bible goes by the royal law, James 2. The royal law is to love your neighbor and to love God. Those two laws encompass all the laws. It says this in Romans 13. So everything operates off those two laws, which is love. So that is the paradigm of morality, the biblical paradigm of morality. So since because of that, slavery, rape, all that stuff is mumbo jumbo.
Well, I'm glad that it's mumbo jumbo. So what? So if you can explain for me there, Tom, then is God unchanging?
You mean immutable, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, God is immutable. Great. Then everything that you just said is pretty pointless. It doesn't factor in. It would be considered a non sequitur if we're talking in fallacy terms here. And because God still ordered those things in the Old Testament, that was still God. So we're not saying that Christians are called. Well, it's not impossible. It's literally there. Do you think that the Old Testament isn't?
After you're done, I'll demonstrate it.
Okay, good. Do you think that the Old Testament is like a false narrative about God?
No, but I think there's some misconceptions and canards that people misconstrue the Old Testament.
Okay, fine. Tom, tell me that words don't mean words. Well, which words don't mean words in the Old Testament?
Sure. So there's something called casuistic law and apodictic law. Apodictic law is unconditional, normative, regulatory laws that are prescriptive, and there's only 10 laws that are that. That's a universal consensus among scholars. So any laws that you could outside the 10 commandments connect to Yahweh, that is erroneous. So I mean that's just the start. So you're gonna have to address the scholarship on that.
So Tom,
Mm-hmm.
Since you specifically laid out the 10 commandments there, I need to first ask you this question. Do you consider women property?
No.
Okay. In Exodus 20:17, which is the 10th commandment, God lists specifically women as property, also listing slaves among that as property too. So what's your apologetic for getting around about that? I don't know which apologetic website you got pulled up, probably like ICR or something, but just go ahead, search for that real quick, and then we'll be here whenever you get back.
No, that's okay. It's you don't understand Hebrew language. There's only one word for property in the Old Testament. It's akuzah. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, but that's okay. I still love you, John.
No, I do. No, you can go fuck yourself with your
anyway.
fucking condescension fucking bullshit right now, okay?
Because
while I may not know how to free read...
Shut the fuck up, John. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Nope, you're shutting the fuck up. Because you're muted now. We're going to go interlinear here because I do know akuzah, and that is definitely used amongst slaves in the Hebrew Bible. But we're going to go to Exodus 20:17, right? And we're going to look at it in the interlinear, right? By the way, it's not customary to tell us to shut the fuck up because we're kind of in charge here of the line deal.
I just love that he immediately fucking crashed out after one single fucking point.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even get into the meat of the issue. He literally started by saying that slavery and stuff is just mumbo jumbo. First of all, no, it's fucking not. Second of all, your Ten Commandments argument still blows. We didn't even get to start talking about why your argument sucked. Literally the first thing that John said, you crashed out. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Couldn't even fucking deal with it? Jesus Christ. We'll unmute you whenever John reads you the thing that he's looking up right now. But I encourage you to take this time to do some deep breathing exercises and, like, just learn how to listen. You might learn a thing.
Right. So I pulled up the interlinear here. While you're correct that akuza is not here, but that's just because it doesn't specifically say property, but it lists it amongst other things that are considered property, like ox, donkey, anything that belongs to your neighbor that is your neighbor's. We could look up this one Hebrew word here that is riha, neighbor, friend, another, nor anything that is, yeah. So, I mean, this is obviously talking about property here. I mean, it doesn't directly say property in it, but if you wanted to look at something that says property, we could go to Leviticus 25, 44 through 46 that lists people as property. But the Exodus 2017 listing women amongst the other property that's there is in line with how the Old Testament treats women and presents women. Akuza is definitely used amongst slaves and everything like that. But as far as being treated as property, women are definitely treated in that fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. If you
I also want to throw out there before you bring him back, I just want to throw out there that, like, your argument, you can leave him unmuted, it's fine. Your argument was only talking about women here. The bigger overarching point here, also, this is the same word used for slaves when it says slaves are your property. So, like, even if we want to agree to disagree on what the Ten Commandments say about women, God also commands slavery. And if the Ten Commandments are all we're going off of here, why didn't God have a fucking commandment saying, don't own slaves? What's that all about, you know? Or a million other things he could have done instead of 4 whole commandments about respecting his authority.
Am I? You guys going to censor me more, or can I talk? Like, is this a conversation?
That's not censorship.
Like, what the fuck am I doing?
That's not censorship. You were just being an asshole, and we just put you on mute for a second so we could finish your point. You may now respond to the points we made.
Shut the fuck up. So
yeah, I know we're so bad. Anyway, do you want to actually have a conversation, or you just want to continue crying?
No, if you're gonna act like a little bitch, I'll act like a little bitch back to you guys. If you could dish it out,
right, thank you for admitting that you are acting like a little bitch.
Are you guys really whining that a CS is destroying you right now? Are you that pathetic?
No.
You haven't destroyed us yet, Tom. We just brought up a point, and you started just crashing out and saying, no, shut the fuck up. And you just admitted that you're acting like a little bitch.
I was going to run through every stupid argument that you proposed. I'm going to run through it.
Yeah, we muted you after you were a rude little rat dick at the beginning of the call. You haven't earned the respect that you're trying to command right now.
So it's just more censorship, right? Is that what it says in your stupid, pathetic
I don't think you know what censorship is.
Where you silence your opposition, Forrest, like standing for truth. He slapped you in the face. He destroyed your pathetic bullshit evolutionary arguments. I'm going to destroy your fucking.
Oh, you don't believe in evolution either. You don't believe in evolution either. That's hilarious. The question here is, you don't know what censorship is because what happened was you made a claim, John started responding to the claim, and rather than being a big boy and talking about the specific issues you had, you started the conversation with, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, shut the fuck up. And then you get mad at us for not putting up with that shit and putting you on mute and time out for a minute so that we can have the conversation that you're too fucking scared to have. I would love to talk to you about evolution. I don't think you're cool enough to do it.
Here, let's make this easier. Get Josh Bowen to help you guys out because you guys are pathetic at trying to defend your argument.
I don't know who that is.
So, you don't know who Josh Bowen is? What the fuck?
No, who's that?
All right, so can I now start decimating your arguments?
I would love you to try. If you can do it like a grown-up.
Sure.
Decimating means reducing it by 10%, so you're just going to only address about 10% of it?
So am I going to be able
See,
to?
I
or
thought
not?
it was funny too.
So Deuteronomy 10:14 that it's impossible for someone to own anything because God already owns everything in the world, including the inhabitants of the world. So it's impossible patently to own someone else's property because God already owns everyone already. So that argument was
So
just now
then that
debunked.
goes
So
against.
I'll go to the next point
So then
now.
that goes against what it says in Exodus and Leviticus, where God says,
No,
"Pass
it
them
doesn't,
down to your
and I'll
children; they
explain
are
why.
your
So,
property."
I'll explain why. So first of all, in Leviticus 25:44 through 46, the word acquisition is used there, but if you actually did a little research, you would see the same word was used in Ezekiel 44:24, where God himself claims he is the acquisition of Israel. So are you saying that God is the slave of Israel? Come on, Forrest, really?
Wait, what was that second verse?
Ezekiel 44, I think it's 24:28. I can't, it's between 24 and 28.
44. But sorry.
While you look that up, I just want to throw out there, I also love how you were saying, no, it's not actually slavery. It's actually something significantly worse. So you're stupid because you don't know that it's not slavery. Like that's fucking wild, dude.
It's servitude. Servitude is not slavery. Come on, man.
Servitude that is not of your own free will, that you don't get paid for, and also you're passed down to someone's children when you die. Yeah, that's totally not slavery.
Can you repeat that? What's the Ezekiel 44 thing? I'm not seeing that on Ezekiel 44. Like what? Can you give me something better to work with? It you know, if you're
28.
for wait, 44:28.
Yeah.
I am their inheritance, and you shall give them no holding in Israel. Okay. Yeah, it says inheritance. So Ezekiel 44:28. Let's go to the interlinear on this.
I want to know how that other verse debunks fucking Leviticus 25:46.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's a non
sequitur. I'm going to get into
sequitur.
that more if you let me.
Well, we're dealing with this thing now. We're going point by point through what you're saying because that's how we do thinking here on this show.
Possession.
What do you think that
Possession,
word
property,
possession is in the Hebrew,
inheritance.
John?
Right, the Israelites. Yeah, so the Israelites are supposed to inherit God, like they are inheriting God. Like it doesn't mean like the wording of it is, and it shall be there in regard to their inheritance, that I am their inheritance and possession. See, I am their inheritance and maybe not their possession. No, you shall give them in Israel, for I am their possession. Yeah, so I mean, it just means that Israel and
John.
Huh?
Look at the net translation, please.
The net translation.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to go to a specific version?
Yeah, well,
I'm looking at the interlinear. I'm looking directly at the Hebrew here. I'm looking directly at the Hebrew. It does say that I am their inheritance, their possession. But the relationship, like how the sentence, the grammar is structured here, isn't that like the Israelites own God as if they are above God or anything. It just means that God has chosen them. Like they are to inherit God in that kind of sense. So I mean, it's like you're just not understanding how the grammar works in that sentence.
No, there's no grammar there. I believe me. Come on, man. I wrote a whole book
There's
on
no
this.
grammar anywhere in the Old Testament.
The grammar doesn't exist. Grammar is a lie from Satan.
What do you mean grammar? Can you explain what Hebrew grammar are you trying to refer to, by the way, John?
No, right. The grammar of the sentence. Like there's grammar in Hebrew, there's grammar in language. Like the grammar of the sentence says it implies this whole Israel is going to inherit God. Like that it's all tied back to the whole fact that Israel is the special chosen little boy of all the groups, right? So that's the implication here. That's what it's saying. It's not saying that the Israelites own God as property, right? That's not the inference here. The inference is that they are to inherit God, meaning that they are the God, or Yahweh is the God of the Israelite people. That's what this means. That's just what the grammar implies.
John, you do know the word possession in the Hebrew is akwazah, right?
Right. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. So at least you conceded that. Thank you.
I never said any.
What did he
Forrest, did
concede?
I ever say anything otherwise?
No, that's not a concession. You just agreed on a word. We're now talking about what that word means in context, as in a language.
So but here's my point, Forrest. If that word had a foul meaning, we would see it in Ezekiel 44:28. Are you saying there's a foul connotation
meaning?
or context with it?
I'm saying that words don't have an inherent foul meaning. The context is important. The word property by itself in English does not have a foul meaning unless I'm saying a human being is property, as what we were talking about a second ago, Leviticus 25:44 through 46. Your male and female slaves are to come from the various nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of their temporary residents living among you and members of their clan born in your country. They will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property. You can make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. So in this case, property has a really bad meaning. But if God were to say, I'm property of my people as a thing that they inherit, that could mean something very different. A word doesn't have any meaning by itself. It's contextual.
It could mean, right? You said it could mean. I think that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. You're assuming there's a foul context behind the word property. You're assuming that, but I debunked
that.
Yes,
because it's talking about human beings, and as you agreed at the beginning of this call, there is no context in which owning human beings as property is a good thing.
Well, I don't take a property like you do. I use like different scholarship on that. It means economic output, but I'll prove it anyway in the context. Like, did you read 45 and through 47, Forrest or John? Did you guys read that?
I just read 45 through 46.
Okay. Do you know what the word there, the local foreigner, what that is in the Hebrew? Let's see if you guys know the Hebrew. Okay, go ahead. What is it?
Why don't you tell me? Tell me how this gets you out of the bind of saying that people are your property to be passed down to your children.
Toshavim, a toshav. So why is that important? Because in verse 47, am I going to be able to finish or not, guys? I mean, I'm trying to help you guys out here.
I'm trying to follow along with you, you fucking asshole.
Okay. No,
where's Toshavim at? Where's Toshavim at?
John?
Yeah, fuck me.
Where's Toshavim at? Show, you fucking weirdo. Why are you so fucking like? There's two hosts on this show. He asked a fucking clarifying question. Crawl down out of your ass. Explain what you're talking about, because all three people on this call would like to be on the same page.
Okay. So the local foreigner, in I think if any like modern English text, it doesn't matter. Just pick like net translation, ESV, NASB. The word there in Leviticus 25, Leviticus 25:45 is toshavim or toshav.
Right, I'm looking at it right now. Sojourner, resident alien, temporary dweller. It's a dweller, especially distinguished from a native citizen, temporary inmate, mere lodger, resident alien. What do you want me to look? How does this get you out? Why is this an escape hatch for you?
I'm getting to that right now. I'm landing the plane, so let's continue. So 45 to 47, the Toshavim, it moves from 45 to 46. So the same people mentioned in 45, the Toshavs and the Gerim, it's also the Gers, the Gerim. So both of them are moving to verse 46. And this is where you guys try to suppose that or presuppose there's slavery, but you forget to read verse 47. Why is that important? Because the same people there, the Toshav and the Gerim, it says they can wax rich. Slaves cannot wax
so this
rich,
is
guys.
so 47. So hold on. So Tom, 47 is discussing something different. It is not discussing the same type of slave from 46.
Even if I agreed with what you're saying here, so 47 says, if a foreigner residing amongst you becomes rich and any of your fellow Israelites become poor and sell themselves to the foreigner, or become a member of the foreigner's clan, and then it goes on to say they retain the right to redemption, blah, 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 blah. Nothing in the verses 44 through 46 we read earlier precludes a foreigner from becoming rich. It just says that you can buy foreigners as slaves. Probably you can even stretch it to make it as palatable as possible here. In the same way as we're talking about here, it says if an Israelite becomes poor and sell themselves to a foreigner or become part of their clan. So even if I wanted to make the most benign place possible here, and I apply that to the foreigners they're talking about in 44 through 46, and say these foreigners are poor and they sell themselves into slavery, and they could have been rich, but they didn't make it, and now they have to be slaves, that doesn't get you out of the same bind where it says they are your slaves for life and inherited property. That is still immoral.
Let me prove it though. So you guys are missing the point. You guys kind of touched upon it, that there's a co-indentured legislation there, that the local foreigners, the Toshavim, they were in an interdependent relationship with the Jews, that they would give it their slaves, or eveds. That's the word in the Hebrews, eved. They would give their eveds to the Hebrews, and the Hebrews would give the eveds to the foreigners there. So why is that important? Because in the same chapter in Leviticus 25, God said his people would never go back into slavery. So that tells us this is indentured servitude. It is not chattel slavery, guys.
Also, this comes out of... Also,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, indentural servitude, but also they have clauses in here for how hard you can beat them and shit like that, but whatever. And also, they do go back into slavery. That's the whole point of the books of Judges.
You don't know who you're going against right now. You don't know. I'm just letting you guys know.
I'm going against some fucking dick named Tom who doesn't believe in science. I know exactly what I'm going against.
No, Tom, I've actually... No, it's funny. No, Tom. I've specifically had Dr. Joshua Bowen on my channel to discuss this very argument. So anybody that's listening and you want Josh's take on the bullshit that this guy is spouting, you can go to my channel and search for Dr. Joshua Bowen.
I haven't talked to Joshua.
Shut the fuck up, Tom. Shut the fuck up, Tom. Shut the fuck up, Tom. So you're trying to lump in 47 with 44 through 46 when 47 is discussing a different situation than 44 through 46
no, it is not. What are you just assuming that proves that? Come on, right, John.
It's well, again, you don't understand the grammar of words, and so I'm not expecting you to really be able to follow along with grammar. So, like in 47, no, in 44, it does talk about resident aliens among you. You may purchase slaves from the resident aliens among you, right? But that doesn't say that all resident aliens that are in the Israelite group are going to be slaves, right? So you could be a resident alien in the Israelite community and still gain wealth, right? That's what 47 is talking about. And if a sojourner a sojourner becomes rich, or a sojourner or a stranger becomes rich and close to you and becomes poor, you and your brothers. Sorry, I can't read in the Hebrew. This is Leviticus 25:47.
Just get Josh. Come on, man. This is the time where it's a face palm, man.
This is something that's very easily refuted, and so you don't have to have Joshua Bowen. I know that you really want to ride Josh's dick, but maybe you can go on TikTok and find him because he goes into various lives.
Let me go against Justin. He's better than you. Come on, man. I gotta get better competition out here.
Stop.
Jesus Christ, Tom.
If resident aliens among you prosper, and if any of your kin fall into difficulty with one of them and sell themselves to an alien or to a branch of the alien's family, you shall crap.
Did you just read this?
Forward. Yeah, we did. I was reading the further context of it.
Okay.
Even after they had sold
Cringe.
themselves, they shall have the right of redemption. One of their brothers may redeem them. So, like, this is broken up. Like in the text, it's broken up into a different section because it's dealing with a different situation here. This is talking about a resident alien that has gained, a lot of money and has basically taken a Hebrew as an indentured slave.
Yawn. Yawn. You're just making shit up as you go. Come on, John. Just accept
No, I'm
the
not.
L.
This
Dude,
is
really? Come on.
I'm not
It's
accepting. No, I'm not going to.
Tom, it is genuinely fucking pathetic to see you trying this hard to win an argument that is
running
barely
out the
happening in
clock.
the first place.
He's
We're
running out the
literally
clock, dude.
addressing. There's no clock, you fucking doofus. We're literally addressing the exact things that you're saying. John's taking it in the context of what he's comfortable with
No,
his
he's
understanding of the
not.
Bible.
He's
I'd still
filibustering.
love
We
to
know
talk to you about science.
filibustering. We know what that is.
It's not filibustering. He's just addressing the thing that you said, and you are so
Grammar?
desperate for a
Come
fucking
on.
clicking
What
win.
does that even mean,
It's
grammar?
ridiculous.
Like, what is he talking
What
about?
does grammar even mean, you guys? Oh my god. It's fucking
what are you
pathetic,
talking
dude.
about grammar? Are you talking about syntax parsing? What? What do you explain what you mean by grammar? What the hell does that even
You know
mean?
what? No. I think you should just start by just Googling what is grammar, and then come back when you're ready to have an adult conversation. And as far as fucking everything else, if you want to talk about Justin,
remember,
if you want to talk to Justin,
you
go
guys know
talk
who that
to
is,
Justin.
right? Praise I am.
Like, fuck, dude.
Where Forrest said,
I don't know
afraid
who
to
that
talk
is.
to you. Guess who's talking to you
What
now,
are you
Forrest? You got your fucking ass handed to you. If you want to
Who
go
are
in the
you
kitchen,
talking
you don't want to
about?
play with fire, you better not come in the
Who are
kitchen
you
then.
talking about?
Never
I
mind.
don't know what you're talking about, Tom. You're just making things up.
You made a clip of me, Forrest, saying that I put out an AI clip and I'm afraid to talk to you on the show. Clearly, I'm not afraid of you, Forrest.
Is this praise I am?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's
you
who. Oh, that
dumbasses.
makes sense. That
So
makes
you-
sense. Okay, so just to be clear, okay, now I understand what you're talking about. I had no fucking idea what you were talking about. Now this makes sense. So, just for everybody watching at home, this fucking idiot has a channel called Praise I Am here on TikTok, on YouTube and on TikTok. And what he does is he makes AI-generated videos of atheist hosts, and he moves their mouth with AI to make them say stupid fucking shit and run apologetics for his fucking religion. And he made a thing of Matt talking in AI, criticizing me, and I called him out and said that's fucking stupid. And now, God knows how fucking long later, you are now calling in to say you're so confident you can talk to me. And you're picking a topic that is so fucking redundant and weird. I don't speak Hebrew, so I'm not confident in fucking talking about the syntax and grammar and basic of Hebrew. However, all of my fucking friends who do and actually study the Bible do agree with me on this point, so I would defer to them. If you want to talk to Justin, talk to Justin. If you want to argue with me about my area of expertise, I would love to do that. But as of right now, you're not beating the allegations of being afraid to talk to me when you call in, immediately crash out about censorship and telling people to shut the fuck up and everything like that. And then you try like hell to get a viral clip by saying, I own you, I handed you your ass. When we're just going piece by piece, line by line through your argument. And the best response you've had thus far is shut the fuck up and weird cope laughing. Like, sorry, dude,
No,
you're not beating the allegations.
All John's doing his thing. It's grammar. It's grammar. I'm telling you. Like,
Yeah, because grammar is important, you fucking lunatic.
Bullshit.
Sorry that you're fucking illiterate, Tom. But like, grammar
Really,
matters in
Forrest?
words.
I mean, come on, dude. This is like what do you call it?
I'm coming
control.
on. I promise you, I'm
Damage
coming
control.
on
This is
so
terrible
much.
damage control.
It's you crashing out because we're responding to your arguments, bruh.
I'm laughing at your response. It's pathetic. You guys are actually trying to pass this off as something that's legitimate.
Dude, you literally at the beginning, earlier on in this call, referenced fucking standing for truth. You think we're gonna take you fucking seriously here? Like, sorry, man, you're crashing out because we're going through the things that he made a fucking like over hour-long video about a less than 60-second TikTok where all I said was mitochondrial leave doesn't mean what a lot of people thinks it means. And I didn't even watch this fucking video. I saw how long it was and how dumb it was, and I fucking skipped it. as I do most Standing for Truth. I don't think I've ever actually watched anything Standing for Truth that's put out. I just don't take it seriously, and I don't respect him with the way he treats Erica. So, like, at the end of the day, dude, you're watching an apologetics group do apologetics and thinking that they're doing real science. You're calling in here literally, I could not make a funnier joke than you saying, what does grammar even mean? Like, I'm sorry, you don't have a strong argument because the biblical scholars, the biblical scholars who do speak Hebrew, the biblical scholars who do speak Hebrew fluently better than I bet you do, actually are in agreement with John and I on this one, that this is talking about slavery and there's no way out of it.
No, you guys are retards. I destroyed that. Like, what? How do you?
Oh, and now you're going to throw out slurs.
Refuting what I said.
Now you're going to throw
what is the rebuttal?
And now you're going to throw out slurs. And now you're going to throw out slurs because you know that if you throw out slurs, we're going to hang up on you. And so you can get out of the argument and pretend like you won it by just dropping a bunch of slurs.
Like, what's the rebuttal, man? Tell me the rebuttal to what I argue. Stop fucking pontificating and all this other bullshit. Just answer my fucking question.
We were in the middle of it when you started crashing out and cope laughing.
Mm-hmm.
What? Tell me. Go ahead. I'll give you the floor. Go, John. Tell me the rebuttal.
Oh, you're gonna give us the
Oh,
floor on our own show? Thank you
Holy
so much,
fuck.
Tom. You charitable bitch.
I'll go on mute for you guys.
Oh, so kind of you. I still want to talk to you about fucking evolution after this. I hope you stick around for it because, like, we're gonna do this for a little while longer. But eventually, I'd love to know what you think evolution even means. But that's a different conversation. Maybe even a different call. We'll see what happens. As for right now, we're just gonna dig into what we're digging into here. John was addressing the specific points you made. I remain of the belief that there is no such thing as good slavery. And if God was really good, he would just say, don't own slaves. And also wouldn't do the genocide stuff, also wouldn't do the sex slavery stuff, also wouldn't sacrifice his own kid to make a loophole in his own rules, also wouldn't oversee a world like this one, also a million other things. But we're just on this one little thing right now, so we'll try to dig into it further. Please tell us, Scott, how a fucking semantic little difference between this kind of slavery and that kind of slavery makes the slavery that you're okay with more okay.
Yeah, debt servitude. People are paying off debts. What's wrong with that?
Servitude is wrong. Is how
debt slavery is
bad. Debt slavery is still bad.
No, it's not. You got
so that's a
I like how your rebuttal is to call us names.
So, like, literally, when we went through and read the verses and John was putting in the work of getting the original Hebrew and explaining it, that was all us fucking getting our asses handed to us. But you just saying, nuh-uh, goofball, that's some serious academics. That's some intellectual integrity right there, my friend. Really fucking owned us.
Claims. They're baseless. Like,
baseless claim that owning people is wrong?
Okay. The sky is purple, Forrest. What are you going to do to debunk that?
Oh, I'm going to actually use a spectrometer to demonstrate that that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, now you're actually using a form of argumentation. Use argumentation to prove your point. Or I would just say shut the fuck up. Because it makes you look stupid.
I easily can. And I have been this whole time. And then you just say, nuh-uh, goofball. And what even is grammar?
I'm waiting. What's the argument?
The argument remains that owning human beings in any context is bad.
I agree. I told you I agree with that, but you have to prove it contextually. Prove it.
There is no context in which owning human beings is a good thing, including servitude to pay off a debt is still immoral.
So you're saying indentured servitude is slavery?
I'm saying
it's a type of slavery.
It very obviously isn't what they're talking about there. But also, more importantly, yes, indentured servitude that comes along with being along with passed down to your children. Yes, that is also still wrong.
Yahweh was passed down to their children. So what?
Yeah, that's not the same context and not the same. I know this is grammar again.
It's not the same context.
But because we're talking about the context of an omnipotent being talking about himself being following along from generation to generation, his chosen people, as opposed to someone who has no other choice but to be forced to work for someone being passed down to their children for something that is not indebted to them. That's a very
Where
different
did you get
thing.
that at? Can you prove that
Literally
in the text
the
itself?
fucking,
Or are you assuming
literally
that you're,
the text
you're
that you
Einstein-ing?
suggested. Literally the text that you
Oh, it's
suggested is what I'm getting at from.
Okay. Well,
That's not what I
if
just
I
said.
called you a girl?
I said the text
you're
that
a
you
girl, Forrest,
suggested.
because it suggested that you're a girl. Does that make it true?
So that's
What?
not what I just said. If you were listening rather than just trying like hell to get a leg up in this conversation, you would have heard that I said it's from the texts that you suggested. I didn't say the text suggested it. And also, I don't consider a girl an insult. So I don't know why you picked that one. It's fucking weird.
Well, I mean, anyone can suggest anything. It means absolutely bupkis. So I want something that
I didn't
is
say
tangible.
that. You're
Give me
still
something
arguing with
tangible.
yourself.
No, I'm not. I made the argument. You guys are failing bad. You guys can't respond to what I said.
Tom, I just repeated your argument back to you, and you fucking claimed that I was saying the Bible makes suggestions. You weren't listening to what I said. Oh, so frustrating when people are logically consistent,
Can you guys get to the conclusion? Tell me, what rebuttal do you guys have to refute what I just said? So go ahead.
What did you just say?
The thing that you just said, my rebuttal for the thing that you just said is that it has absolutely nothing to do with my argument.
Okay, so the argument is in Ezekiel 44:28, the word akwaza is used there for Yahweh. So you can't assume the word there, akwaza, is nefarious. It's impossible to assume that because Yahweh himself declares that word. So you guys are going to have to go somewhere else. So what's the next thing you guys can go on?
So at this time, if you're going to put it into that context right there, we're not saying that they thought that owning slaves was nefarious. They would have seen it as perfectly fine. So your argument only works if you're being anachronistic about it.
I also want to throw out there that like you're literally missing, you are missing, yeah, Tom, you remain in the, you continue to miss the simple fucking point that I am making. If I say the words, get in the kitchen, is that a negative thing to say?
In the kitchen, no.
No, it's not. It's meaningless. It's just a flat blanket thing that has no real context. If I say that to a chef, get in the kitchen, is that now that's a positive thing now to say? Get in the kitchen is a nice thing, a pleasant thing, an encouraging thing to say to a chef. If I'm talking to a random woman on the street and I say, get in the kitchen, that is now a very sexist, negative thing to say. So context is important, Tom. Do you want? You don't know about that one? You don't know about is that a little bit too hard for you, Tom?
No, let me explain. Like back in the 1950s, women loved to cook. So like depends on what generation, society, and culture you're talking about.
They loved to cook. Are you fucking? Oh my god! They didn't love to cook. They were forced into that position culturally.
Oh
Tom.
my god!
I'm sure. I'm sure some of them were. And we can add communist to the list of words you don't know the meaning to, along with context and evolution. Or grammar.
Socialist, liberals, commies, all the same shit to me.
Thank you for proving my point, Tom, that you don't know what those words mean. The point remains, if I say something to one person or another person, based on the context of who that person is and their position in relation to me, that same term has very different meanings. So when God in the Bible refers to himself in this way, he is referring to himself as inheritance of his chosen people, as a birthright that they have access to him. When he refers to slaves as inheritance, he is referring to them as less than human, as objects that are passed down in a will. That is a very different context for the same word.
Well, that's basic anyway in verse 47.
Logic.
If that was true, they could wax rich. Come on, Forrest. Yes, you're going to have to read verse 47 then.
Tom, black people are able to get rich in this country. That doesn't mean racism doesn't exist. So just because in one verse the foreigners are able to earn money,
now you're
which happens to be pertinent when we talk about black people, as it turns out. But in this case, we're talking about foreigners may be able to acquire wealth, or they may have to become, in your terms, indentured servants. None of that goes against the contextual argument that I am making. You are just
Let me debunk
floundering.
that for you. And I want Forrest to read this straight out. I want him to read these texts. So there's
I want you to read a fucking book.
confusion after this. Forrest, will you read the text that destroy your argument I'm going to give you? And if you let me give you the text, can you read it out to the audience? Let him read it.
Will you read the differences between? I didn't answer your question. Will you read the differences between socialism and communism out to the audience so we can all know how fucking stupid you are?
Yeah, I will.
Great, you start.
All right, read Leviticus 19:34, and then one more after this, asking two texts for you to read. Exodus 20:22. Chapter 20, verse 22.
1934, the foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I know that one. And then what's the other one, Exodus?
Yeah, Exodus chapter 20, verse 22.
20:22. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites this, you have seen for yourself, I have spoken to you from heaven.
Wait a minute, hold on. I think
Oh, we gotta go back.
I'm sorry,
Oh no, you fucked up the verse.
I'm sorry. It's Exodus 22.
Exodus 22 what?
20.
Exodus 22:20. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed.
I'm sorry. One more verse after that.
We blew it. We blew it again.
I'll take it. It's the next verse, 21.
Exodus 22:21. Oh, there we go. Do not we finally got it. Jesus Christ. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner if you were, for you were foreigners in Egypt.
Thank you.
Right. And that does what? You're saying that because God said be nice to foreigners, that means that they couldn't have enslaved them?
Yeah, it actually says don't enslave them. The verse you just read literally says do not enslave them.
No, it doesn't.
No,
say
it doesn't.
Don't
it says
enslave
treat them well. It doesn't say don't enslave them.
The word okay. So John, you have a Hebrew like or some type of lexicon or Strong's concordance you can get to.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a verse now. This is Exodus 21, verses 20 and 21. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. So now you tell me, because that one's from one of the same books that you just gave me. Do you think that beating someone with a rod and calling them your property is treating someone well?
No, it's not. In fact, that's what it requires is the death penalty. So if you beat your slave to death, that's the death. That's what it says. The death penalty shall be punished.
If they die, if they die before 2 days have passed, if they die on day 3, you're off the hook.
Well, did you read verses 26 and 27?
I read the parts. I read the verses that you told me to read that say treat people well if they are foreigners. Now I'm presenting you with this verse from one of those same passages, some of the same books, in actually one of the right after the next chapter, which says that you can beat them with a rod so long as they don't die within 2 days because they are your property. And I'm asking you, does that sound like treating foreigners well? Enslaving them as your property and beating them with a rod.
No, it doesn't sound that way, but it's not that.
Interesting. Okay, you could prove that this verse doesn't mean what this verse says either.
The way you read it, I'll concede the way you read it there, yes. But see, there's something
the way that it's written on the page.
It's on the same page. It's a few verses down. Just go to verse 26 and 27.
26 through 27. An owner who hits a male or female slave in the eye and destroys it must let the slave go to compensate for the eye. And if they knock out a tooth, then they must let him go to compensate the tooth. So again, you can beat somebody as long as you don't knock out their eye or their tooth or kill them. Is that treating foreigners well? Making them your property and beating them as long as you don't kill them or knock out an eye or a tooth. Is that treating them well?
Yes, and let me explain. So the eye in the
Yes,
tooth is
no,
not
it's fucking not.
literal law. Listen, no. So Christopher Wright, he did a good scholarship on this, that the tooth or an eye means any unwarranted assault at all. Like it's not being specific. Lex talionis is not like. Did you read like verses 24, 25 and saying eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth?
No, so
They
let's
weren't
dig
poking
into
each
it then,
other's
Tom.
eyes out.
You said any unwarranted. So when exactly is it warranted to beat your slave with a rod? What would be the warranted situation there?
Corporal punishment if, say, a slave was caught stealing or something from your tent or whatever, they could do corporal punishment, yeah.
And there you have it, is you're literally advocating for, in any case whatsoever, you are advocating for beating slaves.
What, for someone stealing? You're thinking that protecting your stuff is, and giving them, like, you can't do self-defense to defend your own property?
No, you don't get to beat a slave because they took something from you. That's fucking evil.
Well, that's your opinion, man. I disagree with that. I think corporal punishment is virtuous.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised you disagree with that. You've had a horrible fucking run of this entire call. By the way, let's not forget the fact that you skipped over my challenge that you said you were going to do.
Yeah, with communism. Yeah, I mean, I have to research that. So
Explain
I'll do it. I'll call back.
No, do it right now. I looked up your stuff right away, so you look it up right now.
Okay.
Explain the difference between communism and socialism.
Sure.
Come hell or high water, you're going to learn a thing today, bro.
You know, I love learning, so appreciate it.
Mm.
Socialism is an economic and political system based on public or collective ownership of the means of production, aiming for a more equitable distribution of wealth and resources. Okay?
Hey! And then what's communism?
Communism is a political, economic, and social ideology aiming for a classless, moneyless, and stateless society with common ownership of the means of production.
There you go. So now, when you said we're communists because we said that women were subjugated, where exactly in those definitions does that say that? And where in that definition does it say that communism and socialism and liberalism are all the same thing?
Wait, do you think they overlap, though, or do you think they're completely distinct?
Oh, they obviously overlap for reasons that I don't think you understand. But that's not what I asked you. Because a second ago, I said that women were subjugated in the mid-1900s, and you said you guys are communists. And I replied, you don't know what communism is, and you said communism and socialism and liberalism is all the same thing. So I'm just asking, now that you've read those really holy texts of leftism, could you please explain to me the point that you made? How are these all the same thing, and what exactly does feminism and equality have to do with those things?
No, I'll retract that. That it looks like that was an ignorant statement I made, so I retract that.
Not the only one in this entire call. So now, would you like to continue talking about the Bible and justifying beating slaves, or would you like to move on to science?
Well, no, I want to see your justification scripturally of beating slave. I just gave a response. Verse 26 and 27 mitigate.
I don't have to, because I don't have to, Tom, because you just said that it's okay to beat slaves because corporal punishment is good. So it doesn't matter what the Bible said. In your position, having slaves is good, beating them is good. So I've already I'm good on that.
Well, we disagree in the word warranted or unwarranted. Whatever.
There is no such thing as warranted, is what I'm saying. You have an immoral position.
What is your moral standard to judge that?
Nice cop-out, bro. Dodge to the next thing. Sure. My moral standard is human health and well-being, basic biomedical sciences, and universal application of ethical principles. 6th level moral development on the Coburg scale.
Why would someone would adopt that? Why is it objective or is it just relative to someone else's view?
All morality is subjective, including yours.
Then shut up. Okay, really, you're gonna try to pontificate your stupid
Once
moral
again,
standard. No, man.
Once again, great rebuttal, motherfucker. You don't have an argument, so just shut up. You fucking.
Yeah,
your morality is subjective. Your morality is
opinion.
subjective, Tom. Your morality is subjective, and my morality is what gives you. Your morality is based on God's will, right?
Yeah, the Euthyphro dilemma, right? It's his nature that all things flow from. It's not because he said it or because it is. It's because his nature dictates that. So there we go. Already debunked that. What's the next point?
Okay, so then divine command theory doesn't hold up because God necessarily does good things. So God has no free will.
What does that have to do with free will? I don't get that.
That's the logical conclusion of what you're saying.
So, lay that out. Lay how that's, you just said something. Well, try to elucidate. Lay it out. Go ahead.
Either morality is subjective because it's based on God, which means anything that God says is immediately necessarily moral. Or what you just said is this cop-out, this other switch a bit, that actually it's in God's nature to do what is good, which means that God is bound by a different morality. You don't need God to become moral because morality is objective and separate of God, and God is enslaved to it and cannot do anything else, which means God has no free will and is not all-powerful because he must follow the dictates of some other arbitrary will.
Well, here's my response, that God is maximally perfect. He doesn't need to say that he's subjugated by his own will is to say he's subjugated by perfection, which is moot and useless.
I didn't say he was subjugated by his own will. I said he was subjugated by a different standard, which may not actually be an intelligent agent at all. The point is, he's not all-powerful, and he's not actually free. He's not free. He's not able to do anything of his own free will. He may not even have free will. All you're doing is you're shifting it off and showing that you don't need God to be moral, as I have demonstrated, because I don't think that being slaves is a good thing, and I don't have a God. Well, would you like to move on to science, or do you want to continue failing here, Tom?
I wish I could talk to you, Forrest. I got to run, though, but actually, I appreciate
the conversation. Oh, no! He's a runner. We got a runner.
So yet again, Tom, another point you don't know dick about.
Forrest, I will come back. I will come back another time. We will talk about evolution. I promise that.
I genuinely cannot wait, because if it's anything close to the fucking caliber of this call, it's going to be a very fucking funny conversation. Tom, you suck at this, and your entire fucking rebuttal and argument for everything is, nuh-uh, you suck, fuck you, shut up, goofball, and nuh-uh, because the book says something else, and none of us speak Hebrew. This was a fucking terrible call, and I understand now why you listen to people like Standing for Truth, if this is the kind of intellectual caliber that you're capable of.
I wiped the floor with you guys, but we'll let the audience decide, and I appreciate the time anyway.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, little bitch. Whatever helps you sleep at night, bitch.
I like how he just makes up a win just because, he wasn't personally convinced by logical argumentation. And I also like how he was confused by grammar. The fact that he could only really come back with insults definitely, falls right in line with that.
Literally said, what even is grammar? So, I can't help you. Sorry, the man can't understand context, can't understand grammar, didn't know what fucking socialism or anything was, thinks that I guarantee the motherfucker uses the word woke. Because we literally just said he fucking believes that women loved cooking in the 1950s. They all just loved it. It was their favorite thing to do. And then fucking the concept that they may not have had a choice is communism. Oh my God, what a fucking baby. Go back to your fucking Newsmax hole, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah, so even if like my wife, she loves to cook, but if I said get in the kitchen, even though she loves to cook, that's still something that's very misogynistic. It has very misogynistic undertones and everything. So like people know like what that means. But coming from him, I don't really expect him to get grammar or not, well, grammar and context. Like I don't expect him to understand any of that shit because he won't.
You won't. By the way, to the 4% of people in our our chat poll that said Tom won that debate, quick plan. I do want to say Tom's got some friends though, and it's the usual troll accounts. We got this person, the usual 3 or 4 accounts that come in here and comment a bunch of shit and never fucking call in and defend their point. They all love Tom. So hey, you got some friends, Tom. Congratulations.
I don't even believe everyone who said yes is him. I think you're completely right that our audience loves to be trolls. And I guarantee you a significant portion of those people are our audience being like, ha ha ha, this is so funny to hit yes on this one.
It's fucking great. No, and just to be clear, what we said at the beginning, Tom revealed his identity at some point there. He's got a TikTok channel and a YouTube channel called I Am or something like that. And literally all he does, he takes clips from these shows and takes a screenshot of one of us and uses AI to make our mouths move and recreate our voice and have us preach the Bible and have us do the kind of apologetics that work for him. So, like, the way I found him when I said he's a coward and won't call in is because he has a video of Matt moving his mouth saying that I'm committing a genetic fallacy because I don't understand slavery in the Bible and shit. And, like, it's really fucking lame and cringy, and if he had a fucking spine, he could make his own arguments with his own fucking face. But after that call, I kind of see why he doesn't, because that was fucking sad. Like, goddamn, I've never seen anyone forcefully declare victory over and over on a conversation that was barely fucking happening. Also, Chris Forey, you're also welcome to call in anytime you fucking find a spine and a brain laying around. Pick up that phone. Would love to talk to you.
Well, that's going to have to happen next week, though, or whenever Force is on again. Thank you to all the mods in the chat there. Thank you to Arden on the back end for doing the producing. Thank you to Stephanie for doing the call screening for that first little bit there. And thank you guys, everybody out there, for being awesome. And thank you, Forrest, for sharing the screen with me.
Thank you for having fun with me. It's been a great time. Can't wait to see Tom's coping video where he AI generates us admitting defeats because that's the only way he's ever going to get a win. Thank you to Arden. Thank you to our call screener. I believe it was Stephanie tonight. Thank you so much to our mods in chat for keeping things civil and safe. Thank you to the people in chat, even the ones that suck. Thank you to our callers, even the ones that suck. Have an awesome rest of your day and never stop learning.